Defense made a motion for a mistrial. Prosecutor was up to some fuckery. Potentially damaging evidence, no basis for it. The judge specifically said, do not ask that question. Do not use that as evidence. She walked right down the path and asked the question. It may be over on Tuesday morning. Batman Bruce Wayne bitch snitch. Gerald Brooks, your constitution does not apply to me because I'm a sovereign citizen, a traveler on the land. I'm the Moorian Empire or whatever, bitch snitch. Because they're so fucking absurd. If you want to be a sovereign citizen, just do yourself a favor first. Go to YouTube here and just get every sovereign citizen that's ever been before. Find me one that won. God dang, you're right. Don't go down this. It's not the path. Don't have time for stupidity. Some clever dick on the internet didn't find the great loophole in all of the world's law. Bitch snitch. God dang, you're right. God dang, you're right. Traveler on the land. Moorish Empire, traveler on the land, bitch snitch, Moorish Empire, God dang, you're right, traveler on the land, bitch snitch. The late evening U.S. people.
In the trial of Halyna Gutierrez Reed, all eyes turn to the courtroom as the case unfolds. Halyna Gutierrez Reed, the armorer on the set of the film Rust, faces charges related to the tragic shooting incident that took place during production. On October 21, 2021, a prop firearm discharged unexpectedly, resulting in the death of cinematographer Halyna Hutchins and injury to director Joel Souza. The pretrial phase has been marked by intense scrutiny of Gutierrez Reed's handling of firearms and adherence to industry safety protocols. The incident has sparked widespread discussion and raised questions about safety measures on film sets, prompting calls for stricter regulations. As Gutierrez Reed prepares to face trial, the outcome remains uncertain, with the film industry watching closely for potential implications on set safety standards. For further developments in this high-profile trial, stay tuned on the Legal Vices channel as the case of Halyna Gutierrez Reed continues to unfold.
Woo-yee-haw! Welcome everybody, it's me, Legal Vices. Welcome to the channel. We are here. Just missed it by that much. I was at an exclusive sneak peek VIP IMAX showing of Dune about 2 days before the rest of the world gets to see it. So if you like the movie, if you like the first part of Dune, if you like the books, just shut up and see the movie. That's all I'm going to say about it. If you're a devotee of the books and they're holy scripture to you, nearly as they are to me, they only changed a few storyline things, but I think they did it to set up a Dune Part 3. That's it. I'm not gonna no spoilers, no more comments. Just if you like the first one, if you like the books, go see the movie. End of story. Fan-frickin-tastic. All right. Whew, that was a rush. I had to do a dash across town to get here in time. So we trial just started about 10 minutes ago, and they're watching more of her interrogation video. Both of the ones we watched, they're watching again. So we can kind of blast through those. So all right, we're not gonna spend a lot of time doing the pre stuff like we normally do. We're gonna cut the BS and we're gonna get straight to it. All right, we got our like and subscribe poll here. Not only 97 people here. I try to be early, but I had this thing to go to tonight for Dune 2, and the stream was privated. So I normally try to be here first so that we get the early birds. But yeah, we get the late birds. So I'm expecting kind of a lower than normal turnout today, but let's finish the month strong. We can finish the month strong here. We can finish the month of February strong. All right, and just if you're new here, if you're just dropping in, we have three tiers of achievements to unlock. Achievement number 1 is the pig dog cam gets unlocked at $100. At $200, we unlock a shot of this horrific mint chocolate soju, Korean, just horrific nightmare fuel, which we had for the first time yesterday. And if we hit the $300 punishment shot, it is this bottle here of Giwon, Korea's first single malt Scotch, not Scotch, Korea's single malt whiskey. It's not Scotch unless it's made in Scotland. All right. That's that. Let's take our like and subscribe poll. Make sure you take our like and subscribe poll after you like, after you subscribe. And if you are subscribed, just double check to make sure. We are 4 subscribers away from 47,200. Just 4 more of you need to hit that subscribe button, and we get to 47,200. I mean, sorry, 67,000. God, not 47,200. That would be a nightmare. 67,200. That's the goal. We want to get the 4 more subscribers by the end of the show. All right. So our like and subscribe poll today is: who is really on trial in this case? Is it Halyna Gutierrez? Is it Alec Baldwin? Alec Baldwin or Alec Baldwin? Alec Baldwin. That's of course who it is, but we'll let you all figure it out. Real quick, yesterday was a very interesting day. We had the first witness was from day 3 afternoon. It was an FBI chemistry and explosives expert who testified that all of the live rounds had gunpowder in them, and one went bang. Surprising revelations. They had a DNA expert on. The DNA expert testified that the gun that Alec Baldwin held in his hand had Alec Baldwin's DNA on it. Shocker. And it was inconclusive, actually, whether Halyna Gutierrez Reed's DNA was on the weapon that was in Alec Baldwin's hand. Then they had the dolly grip, the union shop guy, who he has a personal lawsuit. He has a lawsuit filed against Alec Baldwin and the 2 production companies for his own personal damages from gunshot blast wounds and negligence and intentional infliction of emotional distress. So he has a vested interest in how he testifies, which undermines his credibility big time. He basically said he doesn't know who brought Alec Baldwin the gun. Hannah made a lot of mistakes. It was wrong to make Hannah, the production company was wrong for making Hannah both the armorer and the prop assistant. And again, don't forget he had a civil suit, which taints his testimony as far as I'm concerned. Then in the morning of day 4, they had a medical examiner. Halyna Hutchins, if you didn't know, Halyna Hutchins died of a gunshot wound, according to the medical examiner. But the defense did something very interesting. The defense said perhaps they were floating this idea through questioning that perhaps she died as a result of the emergency medical care, that she could possibly have survived the gunshot wound if she would have got quick and competent emergency medical care. They did 2 intubations, which said could be fatal, which could drastically reduce survivability, and the other things that they did to her as well may have contributed to her death. Interesting theory, because if they didn't if the gunshot wound did not cause Halyna Hutchins' death, Hannah can't be guilty of negligent homicide. And then there was this weird gun expert guy who read the report of the previous FBI gun specialist. He kind of read his report and said everything's great. Then he did a really, really good demonstration on how to safely shoot firearms, and he basically repeated all of the tests that the FBI did and came up with the same results. So it was basically wild. It was useless. It wasn't important. It drug on forever, and it's going to be a great dry run for the Alec Baldwin trial. At this point, I don't even think they're trying Hannah. They're trying Alec Baldwin. So that's the recap. Now we're going to jump in today's stream. As always, if super chats, if they come in, or should I be optimistic and say when they come in, will be flashed up on the screen. Whoever gives the highest super chat of the day is the vice law racks for the day. That's it. You get your name up there as the vice racks. No, nothing too spectacular, but it's me saying thank you for you. All right, let's bring this on up. Let the good times roll, people. I will fix the banners and everything as we go along. I'm sharing the screen for yesterday. We are watching day 4 afternoon at as fast as we possibly can watch it. Then we will go into day 5 morning, and we'll wrap it up with lunch hour like we normally do. So let's give it a whirl. Here we go.
Take this off.
All right, this woman here. I didn't get your name when I was.
Thank you. Do you swear affirm under penalty of law that the testimony you'll give in this case will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. Have a
Till
seat.
death do us part.
Detective Hancock, go ahead and state your name for the record.
Hancock.
Alexandria Hancock.
How are you currently employed?
I am currently a corporal with the Santa Fe County Sheriff's Office.
How long have you been employed at the Santa Fe County Sheriff's Office?
A little over 6 years now.
And have you only worked at the Santa Fe County Sheriff's Office?
Yes.
Okay. On October 21st, 2021, what was your position with the department?
So on October 21st, 2021, I was a detective in the Criminal Investigations Division, and I was assigned to the Violent Crimes Division.
And how did you become involved in this case?
I became involved in the Rust case. We were working that day and in the office, and got notified that there was a shooting on a movie set.
D, what? You know better than
When you
that.
received
Read
that
the
information,
damn
what did you do?
scrolling thing at the bottom. It always tells you.
So
You know that.
we met essentially as a team in investigations, and at that point we had essentially split
No,
up
it's not sped up
assignments.
yet.
We do this with any sort of
Real quick for the speeding up, we do it in levels, because if I just go straight to 1.25, nobody understands it. We do normal, then 1.2, then we bump it up to 1.5.
major case like a homicide, shooting, stabbing, anything like that. So we'll meet with the supervisors and then the entire team, and then at that point we'll divvy up essentially who's going to do what at that time.
Still no closed captions. Derp.
Tell us how you divvied things up.
So at the initial point of this case, there was actually another detective that was assigned the primary, and I was assigned as secondary. So what that means is that the primary is pretty much the head of the investigation. They're essentially in charge of what's going to happen, and then they divvy up responsibilities for the rest of the team from there.
And who was that person who was originally assigned primary?
His name is Joel Connell.
And is he a colleague of yours?
Yes, yes.
And at some point, was that designation changed, and were you assigned primary?
Yes, about 2 weeks later.
On October 21st, just so that we understand who was doing what, can you give us the names of the people that you yourself interviewed on the 21st of October?
Yeah, so the day of the incident, I was assigned to take some individuals back to the sheriff's office to be interviewed. Those individuals involved Halyna Gutierrez, who is here in the courtroom today, David Halls.
She's one of those
And
Halyna
Alec
Gutierrez
Baldwin.
Reed people.
And those are the three people who ultimately were criminally charged in this case, correct?
That is correct.
Would you agree with me that you did basically the primary interviews on October 21st?
Yes.
And so while you were interviewing kind of the main players on October 21st, what was Detective Cano doing?
So Detective Cano had stayed at the ranch, so at the Bonanza Creek Ranch, and it was my understanding that there were additional people who were inside of the church at the time that the incident happened that he had interviewed and had assistance from another detective. So essentially they stayed on scene and used a like a movie trailer or whatever was designated towards them to interview all those other people.
And why were you guys interviewing people at the same time? You in one location, him in another location?
To interview, and at the sheriff's office, we only have one interview room.
Now, you were present in the courtroom when Officer LaFleur and Mr. Benavides testified. Do you recall that?
Yes.
What's your opinion with regard to their sentiments that this was a difficult scene because of the number of people?
Yeah, I would say it produced a pretty big problem for the sheriff's office just because of the fact that there were so many people on this movie scene, hundreds of people, and there were so few of us at the time.
Now, in addition to interviewing Mr. Baldwin, Ms. Gutierrez, and Mr. Halls on October 21st, 2021, did you also conduct a subsequent interview with Ms. Gutierrez?
Yes, I did.
Yes.
And was her attorney, Mr. Bowles, present?
Okay,
for
we're
that
going to watch
interview?
both of
Yes,
those
he was.
interviews, I guess.
And did you have numerous subsequent telephone conversations with Mr. Baldwin?
Yes, quite a few.
She
At any point in
had
time
investigator.
after October 21st, did
Oh.
you conduct an interview of a witness by the name of Sarah Zachary?
Yes, I did handle her initial interview was
We've
with
never seen her
Detective Arnold,
face.
and then I had a follow-up interview with her sometime in November with her attorney.
Oh.
And did you also conduct an interview with an actor by the name of Jensen Ackles?
Yes, I did.
Did you conduct an interview with the witness that we heard from earlier, Catherine Rowe Walters?
Yes.
And did you interview a gentleman by the name of Zach Sills?
Yes.
Did you interview a gentleman by the name of Seth Kinney?
Numerous times.
And when you say numerous times, how many times do you think you spoke to Mr. Kinney?
Over 5.
And did you interview a gentleman by the name of Thel Reed?
Yes, I did.
That's Hannah's father, stepfather, excuse me.
Let's start with Mr. Reed. How did you come to conduct an interview? And just to be clear, I think it was telephonic. Is that right?
Yes, it was.
How did you come to conduct an interview with Mr. Reed?
So my initial,
Yeah, why? Why talk to her dad?
I guess the way that I had originally heard about Mr. Thel Reed was that he was Hannah's father. And
Stepfather.
Jason Bowles, Hannah's attorney, had actually brought him up after the second interview that I had conducted with Hannah, essentially saying that Thel wanted to provide a statement as to where the live ammunition may have come from on set. Jason had emailed me
When you say Jason, you mean Jason Bowles?
Yes, Jason Bowles had emailed me a typed out statement. And at the bottom of this statement, it had Thel's name on it. At that time, I had advised to Jason that that would not be a sufficient statement for me because I hadn't conducted the interview myself, and that essentially a word typed statement, not signed, not really identified from anybody, would not be sufficient for me. So I had discussed with Mr. Jason Bowles that if Thel wanted to provide an actual statement to me, that we needed to set up an interview.
Island says, I'm the
Yes,
Vice
it
Rex.
did.
Take it from
And
me.
did
I
you interview
dare
her?
you.
Yes.
Thank
Was
you
that
so much for
prior-
kicking us
prior
off in the
to,
Super Chat Wars.
Asking the court to authorize a search warrant on PDQ props.
Yeah, it was about a week before.
And under what circumstances did you become aware of Seth Kinney in a manner that caused you to start to have to interview him and interact with him?
So from the beginning of the investigation, my first interactions with Seth Kinney came from the search warrant that we had done on the prop truck, which was on the set of Rust. I had essentially told Seth or had communications with him
Steve
that
Morgan. That
I
was
was
David.
going
Hay-
to
that was David
need
Hall.
to get inside the safe on the prop truck, which is where we were told that they had sword guns. And instead of breaking open
Seth
this
Kinney was
safe,
never charged.
we had asked for someone to come to set with the code for the safe in order to open it, so we didn't have to do all that extra work. So my first interaction in person with Seth Kinney was during the prop truck search warrant.
Hang on just a second. So Mr. Kinney showed up and opened the safe for you.
Yes, he did.
And on that day that you were doing the search of the prop truck, do you recall what date it was?
It was October 27th, 2021.
And did Mr. Kinney kind of hang around there outside the prop truck and you were able to visit with him?
Yes.
Was Mr. Kinney cooperative with you?
Yeah, he was extremely cooperative.
Did Mr. Kinney bring you samples of live ammunition from PDQ props?
Yes, he did.
And did Mr. Kinney provide you access to text messages on his cell phone?
Yes, several times.
Did he provide you access to information on his tablet?
Yes.
What was the reason, or reasons rather, that you determined that conducting a search of PDQ props would be appropriate?
So throughout the investigation, we obviously had the unanswered question of where this live ammunition may have come from. During Hannah's secondary interview
There's two
with
women
me,
next to Hannah,
I
her
found
lawyer
that
and
ammunition
paralegal.
that was supplied to Rust
In that order.
actually came from 3 different sources. One of those sources.
And let's back up real quick before you get there. The interview that you did with Ms. Gutierrez on October 21st, 2021, did you have a conversation with her about who provided ammunition to the set?
Yes,
And who did she say provided ammunition?
Seth Kenny.
And then you conducted a follow-up interview with her in November.
Yes,
And that was when Mr. Bowles was there.
correct.
And that's what you were going to start telling us about, right?
Yes.
Go ahead, proceed.
So in that secondary interview, Hannah had disclosed that there were actually 3 sources of ammunition
Ooh,
that
Hannah's
went onto the set of Rust.
disclosed.
One of them, her original, being Seth Kenny from PDQ Arm and Prop. The second supplier was an individual named Billy Ray, and
Iris.
he was part of the business Swats and Props, I believe it is what it was. And then the third source of ammunition for Rust was herself.
How many boxes of dummy ammunition did Ms. Gutierrez tell you that she herself provided to the set of Rust?
So 1, and then she had stated that she had brought other dummies and ammunition in gun belts.
Strike 1, she provided her own ammo.
Okay, so I think what we were discussing is what landed your thought process that caused you to decide that executing a search warrant on PDQ props would be appropriate.
Yeah, so during Hannah's secondary interview, it was identified at that point the actual physical location of PDQ, which was in Albuquerque, the 126 Monroe. And then subsequently after that, when I had gotten the statement from Thel had described that him and Seth Kenny had been training actors on another movie prior to this in another state, that they had used live ammunition. And so Thel had said that ammunition somehow came back to New Mexico and then, potentially gone back to PDQ, which is the reason that I used, along with Seth Kenny providing the fact that he did have live ammunition and use live ammunition on that set, to draft that search warrant for PDQ.
Did you also have numerous conversations with Mr. Bowles?
Yes.
And were some of the statements that Mr. Bowles made also things that went into your decision to execute a search warrant there?
Yes.
What was the information you received from Mr. Bowles that caused you to turn your attention to Seth Kenny?
So from the beginning of this investigation, Mr. Bowles had made statements that he believed that there was sabotage on the set, although none of the individuals that I had interviewed shared the same sentiment. So none of the people that I had interviewed thought that this could be sabotage, or that someone did this intentionally to Hannah. And so given the fact that Mr. Bowles had continuously told me about Seth Kenny and the fact that he may have supplied the live ammunition, and that he was a supplier of ammunition, is why we decided to take that path into investigating him.
Now, the interview that you conducted with Mr. Reed that went into your decision to apply for a search warrant, did Mr. Reed actually tell you specifically the kind of rounds that he recalled being on the set of 1883 that would now be in the possession of Seth Kenny?
Yeah, he described the live ammunition to have a semi-wide cutter top.
All right. Corporal, were you present in the courtroom for opening statements?
Yes.
Did you investigate Seth Kenny?
Yes, we did.
And based on Mr. Bowles' communications with you and other information, you actually applied for a search warrant and you conducted a search of PDQ props, correct?
Yes, I did.
And you spoke to Mr. Kenny numerous times, I think you testified to.
Many, many times.
And he was completely cooperative with you.
Yes, for over a year, I believe.
And sorry.
Oh, no, I was just going to say, we had numerous conversations for an extended period of time.
Is there any particular reason that you didn't ask him for a DNA swab or a fingerprint sample?
Yes. So during my investigation and the interviews I conducted, there was never any testimony or reason to believe that Seth was ever on the set of Rust. Anything that was handled through him, or any of the ammunition or anything that had been brought to set, had been picked up by another person in Albuquerque, or they had met outside of the set.
And just to be clear, Corporal, the live ammunition that you seized from PDQ props, what did you do with it?
We submitted all the live ammunition for testing with the FBI.
And did you receive information that the live ammunition from PDQ didn't match the live ammunition on the set of Rust?
That's correct. It didn't match at all.
And isn't that in line with what Thel Reed himself told you about that ammunition being semi-wad cutter?
Yeah, so the statement that Thel had made about the type of ammunition that they were using matched what we found and what was provided by Seth Kenny.
So you found at PDQ exactly what Thel Reed told you you should find?
Yes,
And it did not match the live rounds on set.
that's correct.
Right?
Let's talk about the cell phone extractions that were done in this case.
Mm.
And let's go back to October 21st when we're on the set of Rust. Do you know why cell phones from every witness on the set weren't collected?
There was, I mean, obviously a lot of people that we were dealing with, and it's not standard practice, especially when we are still investigating, to just go and take people's possessions from them.
If I'm a witness to a crime, do you just get to come seize my cell phone?
No.
Do you get to put me in handcuffs?
No.
Do you get to put me in the back of a patrol unit?
No.
In fact, there was an extraction of Ms. Gutierrez's cell phone, correct?
That's correct.
And you didn't have to ask for a warrant. She consented to that.
She did consent.
Yes,
And was there an
yes, she
extraction
did.
done of Mr. Baldwin's phone?
Yes.
And where was that done?
Suffolk PD in New York completed it.
Unfortunately,
And
Hannah did
Did
agree
Mr. Baldwin do that
to
voluntarily, or did you
voluntarily
have to
turn
execute
her
a
phone
warrant?
over and
So I had initially
allowed them to use
applied
everything
for a
on
warrant
it,
for his phone.
including privileged
and it
information.
was approved here in New Mexico, but he was located in New York at the time. And so we ended up, actually the DA's office. and
Alabama
several of the
Rose,
attorneys,
good to see you,
ended up
Rose.
essentially getting his phone and doing his phone on consent as well.
Was a cell phone extraction done of the cell phone of Mr. Halls?
Yes, it was.
And did you have to get a warrant, or did Mr. Halls consent?
He consented.
Same thing with Ms. Zachary. Was there an extraction of her phone?
Yes.
Did she consent?
Yes, she did.
And Mr. Kinney shared with you the information from his phone that you asked for.
Yes, numerous times.
Is there a reason that the prop truck wasn't searched until October 27th?
Yes. So with the initial information that we had been
6
given,
days after,
and that we responded to the day of the incident,
well,
the
5 days
entire
after,
incident in
it was
itself
searched.
had
They
occurred
searched
inside the
prop
church.
van.
So that was our, primary area that we were going to be investigating and processing and looking into, because that's where the incident occurred. Additional information that we had received was obviously involving the prop cart that Hannah and the props team was using, and that's why we, processed that prop cart as well. We didn't have information until later
The right
on
move would be to say to
that
get a
this
warrant
prop
and
truck had been
then
involved in the props department, and
exclude,
that we would
attorney-client
potentially need to be looking
privilege
for evidence
information.
there, which is why
which is
we didn't,
exactly what they didn't do.
conduct that search until a few days later.
And Corporal, why wasn't the search of PDQ props done until the end of November?
Because the information that I had started receiving in terms of PDQ didn't come until, I believe it was November 9th. The statement that I was given from Thel, or my interview with Thel Reed, was November 17th. We had also received some evidence back from OMI November 22nd. And then I had another interview with Sarah, her secondary interview, on November 29th. So this is all stuff that I'm involved in and I'm conducting and doing myself. So November 30th was essentially the first day that I had available to do that search warrant. And I requested the search warrant that morning and got it done that afternoon.
Do criminal investigations involving 100 witnesses sometimes take time?
Absolutely. Even ones that don't involve that many people.
Can you explain to the jury why latent fingerprint testing was not requested on the live rounds found on the set of Rust?
Yeah, absolutely. So during my interviews with, all the people that I initially interviewed, there was statements from them that the gun that Alec Baldwin was using was taken from the church, that Dave Halls had taken it from the church, that he had handed that gun to Miss Reed, directed Miss Reed to essentially empty all the bullets from that gun. So in doing so, with Miss Reed emptying the bullets and examining them at that time, I know she touched them. I know her DNA or potentially her prints are going to be on those bullets. So it didn't make sense for us to DNA or latent test that round, because I know who touched it, and she wasn't the only one that touched it after that. In addition to that, the other live rounds that were found in gun belts, the box or the ammo box, and the carts had all been handled by several people during this movie set, especially after the shooting. I had gotten statements that they had been handled by several different people. And not only that, but the gun belts that contained the live ammunition were said to have come from another set. And so for us, and in speaking with the DA's office, as well as the FBI, our representative from the FBI, it didn't make sense. It would be a test that just wouldn't yield anything that we were looking for.
And why wasn't DNA testing requested on the live rounds or the spent casing?
The spent from the gun?
From the set, yes. I'm sorry, the spent casing from the gun or the live rounds from the set of rest. My apologies.
I'm sorry, you're saying why wasn't it?
Why
requested?
wasn't DNA testing requested?
Okay. Essentially for the same reason, because of because of all the various people that had claimed to handle these rounds.
And did you also hear in previous testimony about FBI policies?
Yes.
And were you notified of those policies during the course of your investigation?
Yes, I was.
So if you had requested it, they would have refused.
Correct. And we did have that discussion with our FBI representative who was assigned to the case here in Santa Fe.
Now, we understand from previous testimony that you sent the gun that was being used by Mr. Baldwin to the FBI for testing. Is that correct?
Yes, we did.
And prior to the testing being done with the mallet, were you notified that that testing could potentially result in damage to the gun?
Yes.
And what was the reason that you proceeded with the testing anyway?
We proceeded with the testing because Mr. Baldwin had made statements that he didn't pull the trigger. And I think his exact statement was that the gun just went off. So we needed to figure out how to disprove that theory.
And they did a
or
very
that
good
statement,
job.
And that was the way that was proposed to us. And what we
Didn't
acted.
happen. Idiot Baldwin.
On October, I'm going to go through and I'm going to play some videos of your statements with Ms. Gutierrez at this time. And on October 21st, 2021, did you have a conversation with Ms. Gutierrez when she was still on set before she was taken to the police station?
Yeah, we had some brief discussion.
We're just going interviews for the rest of the day, it looks like. All right. We could safely skip all of these because we just watched these interviews 2 weeks ago. Well, not 2 weeks ago, God, last week. But yeah, we'll watch them anyway. This is like about the 9 millionth time I've watched them. It's the second time we've watched them here on stream, but we'll get through them as best we can. So I guess for the rest of the day, just looking through, it looks like it's her first interview. Then they take a break. Then they watch her second interview, and they continue with her second interview today. Yeah. So this is exactly why I decided to watch them, because they're going to be presenting redacted and edited versions here. So I want to see what they're focusing on, what both sides agreed to have in. So all right, let's just settle in here for the long haul. And before we do that, Alan 69, who is now the Vice Law Racks of the day. He's the Vice Racks of the day with the highest super chat. Hi Jeff, chat, and mods. Mwah. There you go. Well, Alan, good to see you here. Thank you so much for this super chat. And Greg Brenyo says, Jeff, what would have been the right thing to do with regards to Hannah's phone? As I said, say no, get a search warrant for it. And then you made sure that they couldn't use the attorney-client privileged information that's on the phone. They did neither of those. Major screw up. All right, let's jump in here. And now, because we've seen the interviews about 1 million times, we'll just read super chats when they come up. Let's go.
Your Honor, if it's acceptable, some of these videos, the first one isn't that long, but some of these videos are rather lengthy, and so I'd like to play them from counsel's table instead of standing.
Okay. How long are they?
The first one I think is about 8 minutes. The second one, off the top of my head, I want to say is about an hour, and the last one is between 2 and 3 hours.
All right, we'll probably take a
Woohoo!
break
2 and
after
3
7
hours,
minutes.
awesome.
It's an hour. Okay.
That's her second interview. And by the way, if you get a chance to have a Jim Beam highball in a can, don't. It's less than stellar. Put Dime Store Tiffany here in the background while we watch the first interrogation video, which, as we've noted, starts off with her not having a lawyer. This is where all the bad happens. All right. And again, just real quickly here, this is the moment I've been dreading. Up to this point in the trial, I don't think the prosecution has done a very good job at all of proving that she was negligent in any way. It's all been about Alec Baldwin and what he did and whether the gun worked, what kind of rounds. It doesn't matter. All that doesn't matter. What did she do that was negligent, that would rise to the level of possible criminal negligence? What you're going to see, if you haven't seen these interrogation videos before, is now Hannah is going to be her own worst witness. She is her own testimony given, of course, for the first hour without her lawyer being there, without a lawyer present, even though she called I don't want to rehash that too much, but yeah, she doesn't have her lawyer there. This first interview, she self snitches like a mofo. 4 minutes into this, I think she's sunk herself. So this is where the jury gets to watch her sink her own defense, and we'll highlight the main ones as they go along. Here is now this is the number one witness, hands down, against Halyna Gutierrez, and that witness is Halyna Gutierrez. Let's get it set up, people. Let's get it set up.
And also for the jury, some of these videos are at times redacted. If there's downtime or something like that, then publish it.
Yeah, where's the restroom? Okay.
Get that out of the way if you would. Corporal, does this microphone work? Okay. The acoustics are much different from this position. Corporal, who is that gentleman you were speaking to?
That was my sergeant at the time, Christopher Zook.
That's the same gentleman that testified earlier in this trial?
Yes.
And what are you being asked to do?
I was advised that Hannah needed to use the restroom and that she wanted somebody to accompany her.
After her? Yeah.
Fun dying, as we'll see, her lawyer didn't do
Hi there.
much of anything at the second hearing because she'd already self-snitched at the first one. It was moot at that point.
I don't know. I think it got taken. She'll just come right
She
back.
needed
here.
her
Yeah,
lawyer
just
at the
told her to use the restroom.
first
That's it.
interrogation,
Focus.
not the second one.
Okay, where are they?
Do I have to do this again? Can you guys just have me leave?
Well, yeah, so we're going to take you. Do you want to wait to go to the office or?
Is it going to be a while?
I'm not sure how much longer. I'd say not too much longer, but I can't tell you what time.
She looks so much better now.
Corporal, I couldn't hear what Ms. Gutierrez said to you at the beginning that prompted this discussion about going back to the office. Do you recall?
No, I don't.
Okay, no problem.
Welcome to the worst day of my life.
Hey, things happen.
Yeah,
Where's your restrooms here?
right over here.
Okay.
I can't believe Alec Baldwin was holding the gun. That's so fucked.
They're moving quick. She's got to go bad.
Can the members of the jury hear what Ms. Gutierrez is saying in the video?
No.
Okay, just checking.
No, he said no. One person said no.
Okay. Corporal, could you hear what Ms. Gutierrez was saying in the video?
Yes.
Can you, did we just turn it up? Okay. I'll take it back just a short bit and we'll see if that works. Thank you, George.
Right over here.
Okay.
I can't believe Alec Baldwin was holding the gun. That's so fucked.
Can't believe Alec
What
Baldwin
did
was
Ms.
holding the
Gutierrez say to
gun.
you?
Her statement was, I can't believe Alec Baldwin was holding the gun. That's so fucked.
And just to be clear, at this point in time, where's Ms. Hutchins?
I believe she's still in the care flight, the helicopter.
Oof.
And you saw the previous videos, the video from Mr. Benavides. Do you recall seeing that?
Yes.
Okay. And in that video, did Ms. Gutierrez learn that Ms. Hutchins was critical but stable?
Yes.
Oh, that's all right. Just take a deep breath and we'll work this all out, okay? I think that one's open.
Do you need to come with me?
Yeah, I'm just going to stand facing opposite, okay?
And Corporal, why do you need to escort Ms. Gutierrez to the restroom?
She had actually asked to be escorted by law enforcement, which is why I was with her. We take it as a precaution to accompany people into the restroom, just to, I guess, ensure that they don't harm themselves, that they're not trying to hide evidence, such things like that.
You guys have a lot of people out here.
Yeah. Is there like a closer call car you guys can put me in or something?
I mean, the closest one that I can put you in is one of the ones that's like the unmarked one.
I just kind of wish that any of my coworkers could stop seeing me because I already feel super bad.
Okay, yeah.
Okay, hold on just 1 second.
I can even throw you in mine. I have an unmarked one.
Is it closed?
It's like right. We walked through them.
Okay, cool.
So-
Yeah, I don't want to go back.
Okay.
I just want to get the fuck out of here and never show my face in this industry ever again.
Well, I wouldn't say that.
No, I wouldn't.
How long have you been working here?
Just a month.
Just a month?
Yeah. I've just been doing the show for like 9 months now.
Okay. How old are you?
24. I'm like the only female armorer in the game, and I just fucked up my whole entire career.
Have you studied armory, or did you go to classes, or how did you get into it?
My dad's the best, one of the best armorers in the entire world, and he trained me.
Okay, all never mind.
Let's do it. You ready? Yeah, so it's these cars. Mine's actually the silver car over here.
Okay, my little fanny pack is right in front of that cop car on that thing, if you could bring it.
Okay.
Possibly.
What's in it?
Just my keys. Stuff. My ID.
Okay. Yeah, let me just figure out. Let me see.
You can just leave it on. Yeah, my inhaler is in it.
Okay, do you need that?
My inhaler might be in the cop car.
You know what? Let me. Sorry, we have so much gear. I'm not sure. Do you want a Gatorade? It's not open. It's been.
I'm alright.
Okay. So I'll leave that there if you want it. Okay. You can control the window. Go. I have to hang out with you here though, okay? Since my vehicle is. So she doesn't want to be up in the cop car until they figure out transportation. We just let them know that I have
That's a gut.
Wait, this is on there?
Yeah.
Okay. So you're just gonna hang out with her?
Yeah.
For now?
Until they figure out what they want to do.
Dennis?
Yes.
So she wants to be transported over there?
Yeah, she wants. Right. She exactly, and she just doesn't want to be. Well, she doesn't want everybody to see her right now, so I have her back here. Okay. Are you from New Mexico?
From Arizona.
From Arizona, what part? I actually don't think I know where that is. Let me know how the temperature is, okay? I can do whatever you need. Have you called your parents or anything yet? Yeah, go ahead. Whoever you need to call. You know what's going on, right? Okay. Weird.
So Corporal, at Ms. Gutierrez's request, did you take her to the restroom?
Yes.
And at her request, did you permit her to sit in your patrol unit?
Yes.
Did you turn your patrol unit on so that she could be in a comfortable temperature?
Yes.
Did you allow her full use of her cell phone?
Yes, I did.
So just to be clear, Ms. Gutierrez's phone wasn't taken either, was it?
No, it wasn't.
And then later that day, did you do another interview with Ms. Gutierrez at the police station?
Yes. Okay, I already into evidence.
Yes. We would move into evidence states exhibit 67 and ask for permission to publish.
No objection.
All right, state 67 is admitted. You may publish.
Started.
All right, here is the. This is her first official interrogation here. All right, let's see. If we don't have anything to read. Let's go.
Before I get started, you're here for an interview, and that's all we're doing now. Okay, just anybody, what happened?
Can everybody hear that? Okay, if you can't raise your hand. A little bit. Okay. Let me try to. If I turn it up here, it will go up over there. Okay, let's try that. See if I can fine tune it a little bit.
Anytime we interview somebody, especially when we do here,
George, can you just bump it up another notch and let's see how that works, if you don't mind, sir.
So we have here, we use forms. That's what I that she had here, but I guess you wouldn't click them. So we're just going to get you those.
And Corporal, where did you go?
I went to go get a form which essentially has Miranda rights on it.
All right, we
And-
can't
and
hear.
who-
We
who's
can't hear
this lady in the
anything
room?
she's saying. We
This was.
I don't want to slow it down, but we have
her name
to.
is Samantha Talamonte. She was a detective that I was interviewing with on that day.
And she still work at Santa Fe County Sheriff's Office?
Yes, she's a corporal as well right now.
Thank you.
go over them, it's just formality we have to do, okay?
Do you know if anyone ever got that fanny pack?
So right
No
now,
lawyer,
it's
strike
technically
one.
inside the scene, so we can't, quite grab it yet. Okay, cool. But you said it's black and gray? No, it's just the gray one. Just gray, okay. And it was on the cart? Yeah. Yeah, so it'll be secured and, it's not part of it, we'll get it back to you as soon as we can. So like I said, this is the rights that I just need to go over and I'll read them to you as I do, if you understand them, you can, signature or check out here.
Here she is. They're reading her rights, and she
Okay, so
doesn't
the
want a
right to
lawyer.
be silent, and you can say may be used against you in a court of law or other proceedings. You have the right to consult an attorney before making any statements or answering any questions. And you may have him or her present with you during questioning. You may have an attorney appointed to you to represent you if you cannot afford one, otherwise obtain one. Okay. You understand those? And if you wish to, I kind of would like an attorney. You kind of like, what do you want to do?
I mean, just because the situation and everything, and their attorney already talked to me, and I just think I should probably have an attorney represent me.
Okay, before you make any statements or talk to us.
Again, very real quick here, saying I probably want an attorney with me is not asking for an attorney. She doesn't get one if she asks like that. You must specifically say, I'm exercising my right to remain silent until an attorney is present. I demand an attorney. I can't afford one, or let me call my lawyer. I'm not answering any questions until he comes, and then you don't. You have to very, very specifically state you're exercising your right to have a lawyer present. Saying, I think I might possibly want to consider at some point having a lawyer. That doesn't do it.
Do you know what attorney she's referring to?
There was an attorney that was at the ranch, but I don't know her name.
Okay.
Well, I can probably answer a few questions.
No!
So at any time, so I'm gonna, again, you don't have to talk to us. And if you want to talk to your attorney, that's fine. If you want to answer some questions, you still could change your mind during this questioning. So it's up to you. If you want to talk to us and at some point you feel like maybe you want your attorney, you can, but you need to make the decision on what you want to do right now. If you want to talk to us, how long would it take when you get here? It's going to be you calling them and finding out. Really? Okay.
I don't know, there's like an attorney.
No, she didn't know she fucked up. That's the problem. If she knew, she wouldn't have done it.
I don't want anything in this case to be fucked up for me as much as I possibly can.
So, no, you're fine. And that's why we go to these.
Yeah.
You know you're right.
Okay.
It's up to you.
They're being so generous. Normally the cops will
It
just
would be
stay
a
at
public
one.
defender. They might not.
Are you
They might
sure you don't want a
advise
lawyer?
another day.
You
It's
really
gonna-
don't have to talk
it's
to us.
a
You can have a
I don't
lawyer.
know.
They're being very, very nice to her here, but she ain't
If
catching
you
on.
want to answer some basic questions, we could do that. And then if you at some point feel like it's,
I know, yeah.
and like I said, right now we are just interviewing you because you were there. You were there. You are in charge of the armor.
Okay.
So you're okay with talking with us?
Yeah.
Okay. So, just our basic questions, okay? So you've already mentioned that you've been on set for 5 months now, on this particular set?
No, on this particular set, I've only been there 2 weeks.
Okay.
Is there 2 weeks?
Oh, yeah.
It's going to be 21.
21.
I'm sorry. How do you spell your first name?
Hannah, H-A-N-N-A-H.
And your last name?
Gutierrez, G-U-T-I-E-R-R-E-V.
When did you birth?
April 28, 1997.
April 28, 97?
Yeah.
And how old are you?
24.
They wouldn't do that. There's no reason for them to bring in a lawyer to
So this
protect
set,
the
you've been
criminal
here for 2
defendant.
weeks. Yeah.
The criminal defendant, they signed the
And
paper
this is
saying they
your
know their
primary job
rights.
is
There's no
handling
reason
the
they
armor?
would do that.
Yeah.
Can you
They would never
what
do
details about what you do?
I'm supposed to check the guns, and I load the guns, and I hand the guns off to the actor.
Okay. How long have you been doing this? Because you mentioned you've been on multiple sets.
Since about March, but I've been handling guns my whole life, pretty much.
So you're very familiar with guns. And this is your primary function. You go to different sets and you primarily handle these guns.
Yeah.
She says she's the armorer.
So can you tell me?
Okay, that's problem one. well, that's problem 3 at this point. No lawyer was one, and said her second problem was, I think I can answer some questions. Her third one here is saying I was the armor, because the defense is trying to make the argument that she wasn't the armor at that time. Her time as an armor had expired. Here's her telling the cops I was the armor and I was responsible for everything.
That's what happened today when you started work, when you got there to work.
Yeah, I went to work. We got the guns out. My coworker Sarah, she helps me with the guns a little bit too. Yeah, and we got the guns out. We went to set. We had the guns on set. I dummied the guns up with the dummy rounds, and yeah, we were on set all day. No, nothing
I
happened.
dummied
And then
the
we
guns up with the
came
dummy
back from lunch, and that happened.
So you got on set with the gun, with the dummy rounds about what time?
Like 7:30 probably.
Around 7:30 this morning?
Yeah, I didn't dummy the gun up until about a little before lunch, like an hour before lunch.
Corporal, could you understand what Ms. Gutierrez said about something about the gun? Did she say dummy the gun up?
Mhm.
Yeah, she had said that she
She
dummied
sure
the gun up
did.
right before lunch.
Okay.
This is their lawyer going, God damn
And
it,
we
I
took
hate
all
this
the guns
part.
and we locked them up for lunch.
So yeah, that's what I was going to ask you. You and Sarah, what's her last name? Do you know?
Sarah's last name.
She's been working with
I don't
Sarah
think she
for
really
2
works with
weeks,
that
and she
gun that
doesn't
day,
know.
by the way. But
Sarah's her
Zachary,
boss, and she doesn't know
Z-A-C-H-R-Y.
Sarah's last name.
So just to be clear, did Ms. Gutierrez just tell you that Ms. Zachary didn't really work with the Baldwin gun that day?
That's correct.
Yep.
But she was there today with you, helping you today, correct? Yeah. Okay. So you and Sarah, who has access to that? So when you got there this morning, where are the guns kept?
The guns are kept on the prop truck.
On the prop truck?
Yeah, and the dummies and everything kept on the prop truck.
Are the dummy rounds separate, contained than the gun, all in the truck?
Yeah, they're in their own box, and the guns are in the safe.
Okay. And who has access to the safe?
Sarah and I.
Just the two of you?
Yes.
What about the dummy rounds? Who has access to that?
Well, the dummy rounds, they were on the cart for lunch. Yeah, the dummy rounds were on the cart for lunch. All the ammo was on the cart for lunch.
Is there, so you're saying dummy rounds and ammo, are there two separate things?
So there's blanks, my bad, not ammo, but there's blanks, you know, the blanks look different. They shoot the stuff, and the dummies normally just have a little BB in them.
Okay. What is the purpose for the dummy rounds? Because you were loading those up this morning.
So the dummy rounds, they're meant to put in like the belts of the cowboys and everything, and like in the revolver you can see if it's empty or not. So yeah, I have to dummy them up if they're gonna be like looking right at the camera.
Oh, okay, so you, just for show, the dummy rounds are just for show to make it look
Just for
full.
show, yeah. Mm-hmm.
But then the other rounds that you guys
The other
put on
rounds,
scene,
yeah, the other
shoot a
rounds,
BB.
yeah. They don't shoot a BB, no.
Oh.
No, they just shoot like, they just open up and a little black powder comes out. Oh, it's just a little black powder, and yeah.
Is there live ammo that's kept on set?
No, never.
Okay. So,
I hardly even go shooting with 45 ammo at all. I normally just say 22. So.
and so you got the guns this morning. You and Sarah are the only ones who have, is it a combination for the safe?
It is, yeah.
Wait, I'm sorry. I want to go back here and see something. This is, I got to remember this timestamp, 5:58:36. 5:58:36. There's something I'm looking for here. 5:58:36. All right, I'm just scrolling through here. All right, never mind. I didn't see what I wanted to.
Or do you guys
Sorry about that.
have lunch? Does a lot of people just eat lunch there?
We all leave and we go back to base camp.
Okay. And you guys left the dummy rounds and the ammo, but it's not real ammo.
My bad, blanks. The
Blanks.
Yeah, we'll go with blanks.
I will use blanks.
Yeah.
Just so I also don't mix up in the confusion.
Yeah.
Yeah. So when you got the dummy rounds and the blanks this morning, what were you guys doing before lunch? Was that just
We were just
With the dummies only, just
yeah, just the dummies. We were just about to get into the blank stuff, and you know, like part of my job is checking the barrel to make sure nothing's in it, because that's how Brandon Lee died. You know.
yeah, right.
So like that's what I checked for. I definitely checked this morning, and I was planning on checking again right after lunch before we got into all the shits, and I already started.
I checked everything in the morning and I checked everything. Clearly she didn't. So again, this is another huge mistake. I checked everything before lunch and I checked everything after lunch. Clearly you didn't. That's clearly an absolute lie.
Checking the other two guns, just checking the everything for them, and none of them had any barrel obstructions. So yeah.
So you check the gun, but do you check the blanks and the dummies as well?
I do check the dummies. I check all of them, and
I checked all of them.
They all showed that they were not hot, I guess you could say.
Clearly not the case. I see this is why I'm saying she's her own worst enemy. I checked all of the ammo. I checked all of them. And none of them were hot. Sorry. You're wrong.
How can you tell the difference on the ammo, on the dummy rounds, or the blanks? How can you tell the difference from the blanks and live real ammunition?
A little ring. Like there's a little ring in there, just rings, it rattles, like a little rattle.
When it's a blank?
Yeah, and then also there's ones that I have with holes inside to show that there's nothing in them.
So what are these ones? Are the rings?
Yeah, these ones were the rings. There was one, I think, with a hole. Yeah.
So I want to visit with you a little bit about Ms. Gutierrez's statements up to this point. Initially, Ms. Gutierrez told you that she shook all the dummy rounds, is that right?
Yes.
Yep.
And then upon further questioning, did Ms. Gutierrez tell you that, in fact, one of the rounds actually wouldn't have been a shaker, it had a hole in the side?
Correct, which wouldn't give any sort of audible noise if she shook it.
All right.
And you put the gun before going to lunch back in the safe.
Yes.
But the blanks and dummies were left on the cart.
Yeah.
Did you, when you got back, did they look moved or tampered with or touched when you got back from lunch?
They did not. No, nothing seemed out of the ordinary.
Okay.
Was the gun still in the safe after lunch?
Yeah.
Who pulled it out?
Sarah pulled it out and she handed it to me.
Okay.
Yeah.
Then you watched her?
Yeah.
Where I'm trying to get with is because you can handle the gun, you obviously are going to be loading the gun, so that's why I'm concerned about the dummy and the blanks, because those were left out. And is there some way that somebody can alter them to make them still look like your dummy rounds?
Well, so that's the thing is that like bullets, like real bullets, pretty much look the same as dummies. The only difference is the rattle. And so yeah, that's a choice, but also I don't know. I'm kind of wondering because I heard back in the day, dummies used to have like a primer cap. So I'm wondering if maybe it was one of those older ones or something like that.
Did you load them after lunch?
They were already loaded from before lunch. And so that's the thing is like, you know, we had that gun the whole time before that and nothing happened and I wasn't in there and they weren't supposed to be even pulling my hammer back.
So, okay, all right, let me just clarify a little bit. So prior to lunch, the guns, you had them out?
Yeah.
And where were they when they were out?
They were inside with all the camera crew and everything. It's, you know, COVID, everything happening right now. They don't really like a lot of people in there.
Okay.
And so usually I'm like hardly allowed in there unless there's actual firing happening.
Okay.
Yeah.
Were you inside this morning?
I walked in there and I handed the gun to Alex a couple of times and Alex took it and everyone was there with him.
Alec?
Okay. Baldwin, yeah.
He doesn't even know, she doesn't even know Alec Baldwin's name,
Did
for
he
God's
pass it off
sake.
to anybody? Were you able to see that?
At one point Dave had it, the assistant director, but he was just sitting in with it and then I saw him and I was like, okay, this is fine. He's just sitting in and then I walked out and yeah.
And how do you know that Dave had it?
I handed it off to Dave while he was sitting in for the shot.
Okay. All right, so you guys were the only three handlers prior to lunch?
Alec, Dave, me. Dave was after lunch.
Okay.
Dave was after lunch. Yeah, that should have been the only ones. Maybe Sarah possibly, but yeah. Because that's the thing that they chill on our little table and we're pretty much there all the time.
Okay. And then, so prior to lunch, did they do any scenes or anything of the sort where they were firing a weapon?
No.
Okay.
Nothing
Just
before lunch.
handling.
Yeah, we were just supposed to get into it right after that. Like literally, that was the last shot before we actually got into blanks.
Okay.
And those blanks were already loaded in before lunch.
No, the blanks are different than dummies. So yeah, blanks.
Real quick, Vicky Hatherley, we have to find Baldwin's interview to watch. You've been told it's worse. It is worse, and we don't have to find it. The Alec Baldwin video is literally the very first video I ever uploaded. As the Legal Vices channel, that's literally the very first video I uploaded. It's there. There's an Alec Baldwin playlist. You can go back and watch it, and I'm sure we're going to see it again at some point in the near future, whether in court or I will do it. But there's a couple of interviews. There's a few more new interviews that are coming, but we'll talk about those later. But yeah, it's already there. We've already talked about it.
Totally different.
It's in my playlist.
Actually have like ignition and powder and everything. Dummies, no powder, just for looks. Just for looks.
Yeah. So I think everything was after lunch then. So after lunch, you get back, and that's when you loaded a dummy round. I mean, the blanks.
No blanks were loaded.
No, like dummy today.
Yeah, no blanks were loaded today. I was like getting ready for it. I had my fanny pack like full of like blanks and everything. But
Okay. So when was the last time you loaded it?
I loaded it so I loaded it with 5 of the dummy rounds before lunch, and there was one that wouldn't go in. And so when we got back from lunch, I took the like little cleaner guy, I cleaned it out really quick, and I put another dummy in there.
Okay. So there are 5 total in the gun.
Yeah.
Can you
About
describe?
6. There were 6. 5, yeah. When the incident occurred, yeah, there were 6.
Okay.
There she goes again. I
It's
put
a cold
5 dummies in,
round.
and then I put the 6th one in after lunch. No, you didn't. One of them was
6 rounds
live.
in it?
Yeah.
What color?
A round?
6 bronze.
Yeah, they're bad. Yeah, kind of bronze, brassy.
What caliber?
45.
As I said, the Alec Baldwin
And
interview
that
is
was the
probably
only one that
pretty
was used?
rough because that literally was the first video I uploaded.
No, the other 2 were used too.
Okay. What do those look like?
Those are both 45. I think they're either Colts or Uverdes, 45, and yeah, the 2 other characters had them.
And they're revolver looking,
Yeah, they are revolvers.
but the long barrel was the one that was used during the incident, just to be clear.
Yes, the long barrel one, yeah. Yeah. The other 2 were only actors, and those were fine.
Okay, so they're kind of like for show, pretty much. Holsters.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like, they took them out and they had them on camera too. And
Do you know what time did you go to lunch?
I think about 12:30, pretty much on the dot.
And then, so after that, Sarah pulled them out.
Yeah.
Did you see her check them, or did she just hand them to you, and that's when you checked around?
She just handed us, we all took them, in the bag to the side, so we didn't check them there. They're in little, like, little socks.
Okay.
Yeah.
What do those look like?
Little socks. They're like,
All right.
yeah, they honestly look like socks, yeah.
Okay. And so when you checked it, it was on set or prior to
Yeah, it was on set. I didn't really check it too much after lunch, because it was already locked up and everything at lunch. But yeah, I checked it and put in that last round and then,
Okay.
yeah.
I know that you had said something about keeping stuff in your fanny pack.
Yeah.
Can you tell me a little bit more about that?
Yeah, it's a little fanny pack. It has a lot of pockets, so it's really cool to like separate like the dummies from the.
Another huge mistake right here. Oh, I have this really cool fanny pack that lets me hold all kinds of different rounds all together in the same bag.
Blanks, but it's mostly to separate like the blank sizes because there's quarter loads, there's half loads, and then there's full loads. And I usually don't keep any full loads out there unless I need them. But I usually really cool to like separate like the dummies from the blanks. But it's mostly to separate like the blank sizes because there's quarter loads, there's half loads, and then there's full loads. And I usually don't keep any full loads out there unless I need them. But I usually keep quarter loads and half loads right here. So if it's close up to an actor, we use a quarter load, and if it's farther away from an actor, we go ahead and we use halves.
Okay. And what's the reasoning for that?
Just the halves have more smoke and they look more real.
Okay.
Yeah.
So pretty much for.
Like if it was a bigger gun, like a rifle or something. Yeah.
So you keep
Or if it's outdoors, But mostly it's the quarters, just in case they're closer proximity to an actor, Or if it's inside quarters, or if it's around an animal or a child's quarters.
Okay. And then you had said that they're only supposed to pretty much expel dust or smoke, right?
Yes.
Okay. Were you inside when the incident occurred?
No, I was right outside by my, what do you call it, my cart.
Okay. How close was it?
About 15, 20 feet from being inside.
Okay. What type of building was done?
So the building with the door is facing, I don't know, north and west. So is it where the cross is? think that was the door.
So
Where the door, where they were like coming in and everything, that door, we were like right adjacent to that, to the left.
Okay. Could you see inside at all?
No, not really. No, I couldn't see inside.
What do you remember about?
Basically, I just like, you know, we had a couple of, like we had a popper pop last week, you know, the poppers are for special effects, like one just went off randomly last week, so I was like, oh, it must be a popper, and like, you know, I checked all of them myself, so I heard like the shot, and Sarah was like, what was that? And I was like, must have been a popper, and I like turned around, and then I heard them say medic emergency, and I was like, what the fuck? And then I like checked in, and I like looked, and I saw Alec on the ground, and I was like, oh, not Alec, Joel, and I was like, what the fuck, was it the gun? And Dave was like, yeah, it was a fucking gun. And so I was like, I walked in and I like tried to see what was happening or like where the gun was, you know, to secure the weapons on set. And I got yelled at, and I ran out and Dave brought me the gun and I opened the gun up and one of the dummies somehow had been discharged. And
One of the dummies had somehow been discharged.
But it was discharged. So when
No, it wasn't.
I have some dummies. So. Right, check it out. I wish it had just been one of these, but see how these have like the whole, okay, and this one doesn't have a primer, right? And most of them, like, they have like the primers, but the primers aren't like hot. Like, I've never had one with a hot primer before. Okay, so that seems pretty weird to me. But so basically, this part, when a bullet shoots, the fire projects it, and this comes out, this little piece right here, this little nipple. Yeah, and so when I had tested the gun, this part, that was gone.
Did you get to see the shot?
I saw the shell, yeah, and it's on the thing.
Did it have one of the? Did it look like this, or was it different?
It didn't have a hole. It didn't have that. So I mean, it had that, and it didn't have the hole. And this was gone. So it was just the shell. It kind of looked just a cartridge, just the regular like cartridge. Without that, yeah.
So these ones are done because they have the hole.
Yeah.
So that one didn't have a hole. So it looked like a realistic one when you saw it.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah, it looked like a real
What about
bullet because it
your-
was.
What about your blanks?
What about them?
What's the difference between a blank and that?
You know, I don't know if I could show you, but the blank very different. And you would absolutely be able to tell the difference just by looking at it. So basically, the end here where this is gone, the projectile is gone in the blank, basically.
Again, you would absolutely be able to tell the difference just by looking at it. I guess that means you didn't look at it.
This is squeezed shut. Like, you know, it's filled with like a little bit of gunpowder, like I said, either quarter, half liter full of, filled with a little bit of black powder, and it's opened by the metal part just going, so nothing flies out of those.
Okay. So this is pretty much what looks like what was in the gun.
This is 100% what was in the gun, except without that.
Okay.
And with the primer.
It was 100% what was in the gun. No, it wasn't.
Yeah.
So it's not as well.
No, it's not. A lot of them have the primer, so that way you can like see them themselves and they look real.
Okay.
But a lot of them also have the primer in a hole, and that one didn't have a hole.
All right. So you have said so how did you end up getting the gun after?
I went in there, they yelled at me, I ran out, and I was like, can I see the gun? And they brought me the gun, and I opened it and checked it, and the very first one that I like, just, you know, once you shoot it, the next one in a revolver, it'll be that one, and the first one I pulled out, didn't have that.
Okay. Did you get to see any of the others?
The others all had, yeah, I took them all out, was there on the cart too. They all had rings, and they all had holes, and I don't understand what happened to them.
And Corporal, just to be clear, the live rounds that were found on set, none of them rattled, did they?
No, they didn't rattle.
And none of them had holes in the side, did they?
No.
And I'm sorry,
Explaining what the ring is.
so imagine if this,
Oh, okay. So just a noise.
so that's what I'm saying, so this one is exactly what looked like was in there.
Okay. And that one doesn't have a hole.
So that's, yeah, honestly,
Is it
that box of
considered-
dummies might have some wonky ones in it, and we got that, I think, a week ago.
Who ordered them?
Well, we got them from from Seth, our, like, supplier and everything.
Okay.
Seth borrowed them from someone, I don't know who.
For the runs that you have?
Yeah.
And how do you know he borrowed them?
I don't know, that's what Sarah said, and then as soon as Sarah told Seth, I don't know, I don't know if she talked to him or anything about this.
Okay. You mean today? If she calls him today and already talked to him? Or when?
I don't.
Corporal, based on your investigation, let me back up. I think that we heard Ms. Gutierrez testify that that box of dummies might have had some wonky ones in it. Is that right?
Yes.
And did she also testify
Wonky.
that that box was provided about a week earlier by Mr. Kenny?
Yes.
And did you continue to investigate the box and the source of that box of dummies.
Yes.
Based on your investigation, was Ms. Gutierrez's assertion that that box came from Mr. Kenny a week earlier, was that assertion correct?
No, it wasn't.
I know she called him, but I didn't get to hear the police officer told her to stop talking to me. Okay. So I don't really know what happened with that. But yeah, so.
Okay. Are you aware of a time or know if something like that can be dysfunctional or?
I mean, you know, like overall, these are some weird, like what we're dealing with are like, you know, explosives. There's always like a chance of like, you know, safety to be compromised. And that's the issue. And that's what I'm supposed to watch out for on set. And yeah.
I'm supposed to watch out for these kinds of safety issues on set.
All these are some weird, like what we're dealing with are like, you know, explosives. There's always like a chance of like, you know, safety to be compromised. And that's the issue. And that's what I'm supposed to watch out for on set.
Chances for safety to be compromised, and I'm supposed to watch out for those issues.
What did Ms. Gutierrez just say? What she's supposed to watch out for on set?
The ammunition, pretty much.
No, she didn't. No, she didn't. No, she didn't. She said she's supposed to watch out for chances for safety to be compromised.
Today, if she called him today, I already talked to him. I know she called him, but I didn't get to hear the police officer told her to stop talking to me. Okay. So I don't really know what happened with that. But yeah, so.
Okay. Are you aware of a time or know if something like that can be dysfunctional or?
I mean, you know, like overall, these are some weird, like what we're dealing with are like, you know, explosives. There's always like a chance of like, you know, safety to be compromised. And that's the issue. And that's what I'm supposed to watch out for on set. And yeah. I've never really I've heard of blanks before with the primer, you know, that's the only time I've ever heard of them, which is why I'm wondering if it was kind of one of the older ones, because that kind of stopped after that whole Brandon Lee situation. But I'm not really sure.
So Seth orders all of your rounds.
Yeah.
And is there anybody else that's involved in that?
I can't really say.
Okay.
I just get what I get, and I'm told enough of it to fit. Yeah.
Do you know who the manufacturer is of this?
No.
Do you know what the box looks like?
Yeah, there's the boxes on the card. It says dummy rounds.
Okay.
Yeah.
Corporal, did Ms. Gutierrez just tell you where you could find the box of dummy rounds that she was pulling from?
Yeah, she said it was on the cart.
Okay. And is that consistent with what you saw in Mr. Benavidez' video?
In his lapel video, she grabbed them from the cart, however, handed them directly to Lieutenant Benavidez.
Okay, so somewhat consistent.
Yes.
What's he about that? Just that he ordered him, or? No, Seth is, he's, head armor for The Walking Dead. He was on that show for 10 years. But he's also familiar about, getting these. Yeah, Seth is, he pretty much is teaching me everything, other than my father.
Has anyone ever allowed live ammo on set?
No one.
Okay. What's your guys' protocol for the ammo?
Protocol.
Like what do you have in place? You know, are you supposed to check them every day?
Basically, like, you know, our protocol for the ammo is like, you know, I have to know load sizes. I have to know like who's in the proximity, if it's a child, if it's a horse. And my protocol really is a lot of checking for barrel obstructions, mostly because that's where a lot of mistakes get made, is like just blanks behind something, and a lot of guns get thrown into, like, dropped in rocks, you know, and rocks get into the barrel and fly out and shit. So my shit is mostly just checking the barrel and everything, and then making sure the dummies are dummies. Yeah, and I've never really had any that didn't sound like dummies. Okay. When you looked at the gun, when Dave brought it back to you after the incident, did it look like it was the same gun when you handed it to Dave? Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would be able to tell too by the circling markings on the bottom of it.
Do you remember what those markings are?
They're kind of like little fingernail marks, but like a little more tender. Okay.
Yeah, this is the witness that's on the stand now. So we never got to see her face in these videos. How many guns were on set?
7. Yeah.
Okay.
7.
Because Miller has 2. Miller has 2. The 2 officers have 2, and then Russ has 1, and then there's 3 long guns out. So
that's 8.
Okay, Miller has 2. The officers have 2.
Yeah. Who else? Russ has 1. That was the one that was discharged. And and then we had 3 long guns that were on the cart. A shotgun and 2 shotguns and a rifle.
And you're in charge of watching all of these?
Yeah, 2-4, so 3.
Okay. And he says Rust?
Yes, Rest is the character. He's Alec Baldwin.
Okay. And you handed it directly to him? Or did you hand it to Dave?
I handed it to Dave after lunch.
So then Dave gave it to him?
Yeah.
Do you
Alec
know,
was in there.
do you know who all was inside the building during the incident?
Some new camera people we got. Our camera crew just quit last night.
Wow.
Yeah, the whole fucking crew except for like one dude that stayed. Yeah, and then the DP, the director.
Do you know anybody's name?
No, she doesn't know anybody's
the
name.
DP, she got shot. The director is Joel. He got
said-
shot.
Okay, so DP?
Director of photography.
Okay.
Yeah,
that
DP
was
doesn't
Halyna?
mean director of photography in my world.
I'm not really sure how to spell it. That's a good question.
Do you know her last name?
No.
And you said Joel, and he's another director?
Yeah, Joel.
What's Joel's last name, everybody?
And you said that he was also shot?
Yeah, which is just fucking mind-boggling to me. Yeah, both of them got shot.
How many rounds are?
I heard
on
one.
it? You just heard one.
I heard one. So it must have went through one and somehow hit the other, which is fucking insane.
Okay. Do you know anybody else that was inside?
I wasn't there.
Well, obviously,
yeah,
Alex, right?
Yeah, Alec was inside. Fuck yeah, I'm sad. I hate myself for that.
And what about Dave?
Yeah, Dave was inside.
Do you know Dave's last name?
It's on the call sheet.
Corporal, did Ms. Gutierrez say that she hates herself?
Super Spudnik, it was a joke. At one point, they asked her what Joel's last name was, and she said Austin. She literally said his name was Joel Austin. That was a joke. That was a joke we were making there. But it's Sousa, actually. I know. Hey, but yeah, of course, I mean Joel Hodgson. I mean that's a joke too. But the correct joke answer is Austin. I miss Joel.
Because Alec Baldwin was in the church.
Hodgson.
Yes.
I miss Joel Hodgson. That's great.
Dave Holt. Yeah, I got the Halyna Hutchins.
I know. That's why I was saying I missed Joel.
Halyna.
I was saying it's the wrong joke, Joel.
She was another person that was in there?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Her
So I have
His
Halyna,
actual name
Joel,
is
do you know Joel's
Sousa.
last name?
Joel Sousa, S-O-U.
There we go. There's the Joel Austin. Is that his name? Joel Austin.
Joel, do you know Joel's last name?
Joel Sousa, S-O-U-Z-A.
Okay. Alex, Dave, anybody else inside?
Well, her steady cam operator was inside. His name's Reid Russell, R-E-I-D-R-U-S-S-E-L.
Yes, JKD Buck. I
The
am
camera guy.
very well of that. Very well aware of that. Yes.
Is Drayton something that was in? She was.
Yeah.
The correct joke.
Let
The
me know
correct
just because-
joke answer is
And I
Joel
don't care about
Austin.
north or that, but so where we were parked, here's the back of the church. That was
Where?
the front.
The cars, where you were parked?
Yeah, we were parked over here. So the church across the main entrance to that would have been over here. We were parked over
Okay,
here.
yeah.
Where was your car? Because I don't think there was doors here or on this side of the
So
building.
there's the door here, and the car was approximately over here by a little black tent where the producers or fucking cast or anyone would chill under, really.
Okay, and then that door's over here. So can you see the front, that door from where you were standing?
Yeah.
And you could see Dave the whole time on his way.
On his way.
Corporal, did Ms. Gutierrez indicate that the prop cart during the incident was located over by the black tent?
Yes.
And was that the exact same spot where it was when Mr. Halls took Mr. Benavides over to the cart to look for the gun?
Yes.
Did you see
Oh, no, I went
him
inside to hand him the gun.
Okay,
He was
you went
sitting,
inside.
he was standing in pretty much.
Okay, so you didn't just hand it and then he walked off. And
Yeah, yeah, I handed it to Dave with the camera people there.
So you were close to the building, you handed it.
I was inside for a second, and then I went back out because, yeah,
That's how you get out.
yeah,
Okay.
pretty much.
I'm just curious because of the whole transferring from one person to another of the gun.
Yeah.
He's the one who did it directly to Alec. Here's a picture, and I just want to see if this is something that would have come out of one of these.
Totally.
It wouldn't be a real life.
Let me pause there for a moment. What is Detective Talamonte, or now rather Corporal Talamonte, showing Ms. Gutierrez on her phone?
So we had received a photo from the deputy that was at the hospital with Joel Sousa. He had sent us a photograph of the projectile that was removed from his shoulder inside a little like plastic canister, essentially, that the hospital staff had put it in.
I'm not going to put this up on the monitor because I think everybody can see it. I'm showing you it's already been entered as State's Exhibit 54. Is this a photograph of is this what was in that photograph?
Yes.
Okay. Just the projectile.
Yeah, inside of a little.
Hi, Mitch.
Okay.
Mitchell.
And this was just a photograph that a detective at the hospital took of the projectile inside the container and texted.
I don't believe it was a detective that was there. It was just a deputy that.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, that was instructed to go to the hospital with Joel Souza.
Gun ammo. So that looks like a blank one, which I'm pretty sure, because normally the blank ones, like, they have kind of this little line right there, and I'm pretty sure the regular ones don't. Okay. So that.
Detective, are you now relatively familiar with blank rounds?
Yes.
Do blank rounds look anything like that projectile?
No.
It looks like that would be in the blanks all the time. That was what was pulled out of the shelter. Oh my God, poor Halyna. So that's why they were thinking it could be an actual live round at this point. Really? Yeah. So that was like it would have been a live round too. Well, honestly, if we had my instructor, we could pull this out and check it. But I don't know. It actually looks so cool. Yeah, I don't know, because look at that line. That's kind of a distinct thing. I think that's mostly for dummies.
Just to be clear, was Ms. Gutierrez offering to use a device to disassemble a round?
Yes.
Did she do that?
No, we couldn't. I could not find a tool at the sheriff's office that we could use to do that.
And did she indicate to you that she had one?
Yes.
But just not on her?
Correct.
All right.
Well, that might be a regular live round, though. It looks pretty. That's what they were thinking. It could be a live round. Holy fuck. I just, like you said, and I think it's what is protocol because of Lee, when all that happened on set too, was there anything that stuck out of ordinary today to you? No, I mean, just the whole camera crew quit. That's all. So we were like super behind and everything. When did the camera crew quit? Yesterday. So is there a reason? I don't know. Okay, I don't think that they would be involved in that. Well, yeah. Is there because maybe people were disgruntled? Oh, there was some bickering, but I highly doubt that they were able to switch any rounds, and especially getting a 45 round is like stupid hard right now. And at least,
We're just about ready to break.
Towards Joel, or did anybody have any issues with Joel and what was the other one? I don't believe anyone had issues with Joel. Halyna. Yeah. I don't know. I don't know too much about her. She's definitely a strong personality, that's all. But there's nobody that you could think of that might have any anger? I couldn't really say that anyone would be like that angry. Like, you know, we're on a film set. Everybody's always pissed off at each other a little bit. We're together for 12 hours a day, 5 days a week, you know? Yeah. It's hard to not beef with people a little bit. Well, I mean, it's kind of interesting that the whole camera crew quit yesterday, and then that is pretty something happens like this today. Would somebody want to maybe, or they could even have an issue with, if somebody wants to disrupt the filming of this movie. Is that something that you could think of? I don't know. I can't really say for sure, and I wouldn't want to think that about anybody on that set. You really don't want to think that about anybody. Never. But unfortunately, yeah, I can't think of like any one person. I couldn't really think of a situation that would require, like, you know, I don't know, almost killing somebody. Well, I mean, it happened. I mean, you keep mentioning it was the crow when that happened. Yeah, that was scary, man. These things happen with somebody. I know. I can't believe I'm like the last thing like this to happen since the crow. And it's my own fucking worst nightmare. Well, I think right now they're good, but again, that's why unfortunately you were there. That way, like, it's the person who was in charge of all these. Totally. And that's why we wanted to talk to you. One of the main ones, because you're in charge of it, but that's also why would you put yourself in that predicament? Yeah. You know, so would it be possible? Yeah. I don't know. I think maybe there was just perhaps a bad round in that box. Well, a couple of bad rounds, possibly, because there wasn't one round that went off. What? There was one, right? How did those people get shot? No, so there was only one round that went off, and I must have went through Joel somehow and fucking hit Halyna, and I'm like flabbergasted.
Other way around. Went through Halyna
I
and
can't
hit
fucking
Joel.
imagine how that happened, but I heard one shot. Okay. Yeah, I heard one shot, and honestly, like, I opened up the gun, I checked the rest of them. Only one of these was gone, and the rest were fine. I wish we could. This one has a different top than this one. This is the one that, yeah, I mean, like, they're all, you know, they all kind of vary a little bit. That's just the thing about them. They all vary a little bit. Yeah. Tell me about what happened yesterday. Did something happen, or did they just walk off set? I have no idea. I think at the end of the night, they all quit. The camera crew always biggered a lot, to be honest. Like, a lot of, I don't know, just animosity, I guess, or them with the grits. Everybody, yeah, it's almost unpleasant to be inside there, just because it's so, like, toxic.
Yeah. So COVID, yeah, I tried to stay out, and then I was definitely on the sides watching, and they weren't supposed to be pulling the hammer back or anything. Like, it was just supposed to be in the shot, and so I don't know why it was pulled back. I don't know what. Yeah, I mean, if they wanted it pulled back, like, that's fine. I had no idea about it, you know. But even then, it shouldn't have gone on. Yeah, so that's why I was like, okay, like, it's right there, you know. I stand right by whenever there's gunfire. I'm still there whenever the shit's there, but I'm not usually directly inside the room just because they don't find it necessary.
Yeah, well, and that's why, like, they're not supposed to pull the hammer back, but it still is a prop gun or prop.
It's a real gun. It's a real fucking gun.
But your prop.
Yeah.
That.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, totally. I know. I don't know. I wish I would have checked it more.
I wish I would have checked it
Is there
more.
anything that you think?
I wish I would have checked it more. Don't say that. Bad. That means you didn't check it as much as you should have, which means you're negligent. And if that negligence resulted in a homicide, guess what? Negligent homicide.
I don't know. Like I said, that box was shown there for lunch. I will say it is hard to get 45 ammo. You know, ammo is super expensive right now, and ever since the election, pretty much all ammo has been like bought up a ton. I'm sure you guys know as a police force.
Yeah. So I was just thinking.
No, she said it's not a prop gun. It's a real
when
gun.
we're
She said
loading,
it's a real
dumbing
gun.
it up.
She knows that.
One of the 6 rounds didn't fit in, correct? And you had to clean it.
Yeah.
Did that seem odd to you?
No, that didn't really seem that odd. That bed had been dropped a lot in the dirt previous before that. Yeah. So it might have just been a little gunky. And then after I cleaned it out, like, it fit right in.
Okay.
Yeah, but yeah.
Does that usually happen?
Does that usually happen? I mean, yeah, every now and then. Every now and then. Yeah.
You didn't think that it could have been the round itself that was the reason why it was initially given?
You know, I don't think so, because, like, these are dummies and everything, and they slide out a little easier per se. But yeah, I don't think that would have been a thing. Sometimes they do just get stuck because, like, the guns are a little dirty.
Corporal, did Ms. Gutierrez just indicate that the dummies slide in and out of the cylinder a little easier than live rounds?
Yes.
And she also indicated that that last round didn't want to go in as easily. Is that correct?
Yes.
That 6th round that she put in after lunch?
That's correct.
Other than that, everything else seemed normal with the round.
Everything else seemed status quo, and I thought today was going to be another, like, super great day and that we were done shooting after this, and it's going to be smooth sailing.
So the picture of the round.
Yeah, the detective said. I thought you were saying that Hannah. You just said she doesn't know the difference. Yeah, I thought you were talking about Hannah. The detective didn't. It's not, and that's a common. She's not a film person. So yeah, Hannah corrected the detective when the detective said prop gun. So I mean, if you're talking about the detective, that's I mean, she's not a movie person. So a lot of people think prop means fake.
That I showed you, you think it could have been from the
dummies? Yeah. Honestly, I can't remember really if I got if they were from the box or if they were from on top of the. We have a cart, and we have several dummies just around. Some come out of the box, but they're all out of boxes, really. Like, but yeah, might have just been one of the ones on the cart. But it should be, yeah.
And that's your car. Nobody else put anything else on it.
Not really. I mean,
but it is possible.
It is possible.
A lot of people have access to your car.
Yeah.
So as you're loading it,
Corporal, at this point in time, were you aware that there were actually 6 live rounds on set?
No.
So at this point in time, all you knew of was the one that resulted in injuries. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And check it every single time?
Yeah.
Every round?
Yeah.
And you did it on this time too?
I did it.
But that one round, you weren't sure if it was fresh out of the box or just laying on the cart?
Honestly, I don't think, like, if it didn't rattle, I wouldn't have put it in.
No, KT, she knows the difference.
Yeah, I checked all 6 of them for a rattle.
I hate to belabor the point, but she indicated she checked all 6 of them for a rattle, but one of them didn't have a BB in it, right?
That's correct. One of the rounds that Hannah had loaded in that firearm actually had a hole in the side of it to indicate it was a dummy, so it would not have rattled, which is contrary to her statement of if it wouldn't have rattled, I wouldn't have put it in.
And the live rounds wouldn't have rattled, correct?
No, they won't.
Right. We're almost done with this one.
I mean, I guess sometimes happen, but just that the whole crew quits the day before and then something like this happens.
I don't know. I totally feel like this was just a fucking really fucked up accident.
Not that you can.
Yeah. I wouldn't think that anyone on that phone set is that malicious.
I mean, I just have to ask you,
yeah, no,
because
totally.
it is something.
Well, yeah,
What about Sarah? How much do you know about her? How long have you worked with her? She's like the nicest little Christian girl ever. Okay. We're gonna an extractor and an armor. So an extractor? Yeah. For those? Yeah. So I'm gonna take one of the arrows. Okay. Totally. And so just to be clear, the one that you have seen, that you had pulled out, looks like which one? I believe like that one. Okay. With yeah, that's when I saw it. It was punctured. So it wasn't missing it when I took it out. Yeah, it was punctured. So okay, I'm gonna have you come in here, okay? Unless you have anything else that you think you missed or want to add. I'm gonna hold on to these. Okay, actually hold on to them. Okay. Just one more clarification. When you got the gun back handed to you, had someone already opened it too, or you did all the manipulating of it? You did all the manipulating. Okay, just literally just handed you the gun, and it was still closed. It was still closed. Okay. All right. Let's see. Yeah, you want to go on it?
That's the end of it. Would the court like to take the afternoon break?
All right, we'll take our afternoon.
All right, they're going to take the afternoon break here so we can fast forward through that and then quickly talk here about a little bit here. Give me a couple seconds here. First, let's see, make sure we got everything here. We have one membership member for 5 months. It's Angel Australia. Thank you so much for being a supporter for 5 months. Morning, everyone from down under. Rarely catch a live, so we're glad to have you here, Angel Australia. Thank you so much for that. All right. Her first interrogation was without a lawyer. She said many, many, many bad things. As I said before we started watching this, Hannah's worst witness for her case is herself. She is her own worst witness. This is why I believe she's going to be found guilty. I don't think the prosecution has done a good job of proving their case at all up to this point, but hey, Hannah, I think, just convicted herself. Now, why? What did she say? Let's do a recap of most of the bad things she said during her interview. And a lot of you are very critical of Bowles because Bowles is present during the second interview 3 weeks later. Many of you are like, well, he was there for the second one, but he didn't say much of anything. What do you want him to say? All the bad has been said. He's not going to take the bad away. If you say, don't answer that question, they go, all right, fuck it. We've already got her saying it the first time. We don't need her to say it the second time. It's not helpful. There's really, really not a lot he could do. So, I mean, here's her ask you, what would you want her lawyer to do during the second interrogation when this is what she said during her first non-lawyered interrogation? I think I can answer some questions. I was the armor. I was responsible for everything. I dummied up the guns with dummy rounds, which we know is wrong. Sarah didn't work with the Baldwin gun that day. Didn't really work with the Baldwin gun that day. I did it. I checked everything before lunch and after lunch when clearly she didn't. I checked all of the ammo and none were hot. Clearly wrong. And then later she changed to say that one had a hole in the side. She handed the gun to David Hall. She said, I handed the gun to David Hall. I loaded it with 5 dummy rounds before lunch and put another dummy after lunch. One of those was live. Fanny pack lets me hold different kinds of ammo and different sizes, all in the same bag. Yeah, that's not good either. You can mix them up. Absolutely be able to tell the difference between live round and a dummy round just by looking at it. Which either means you can't or she didn't. Chances for safe. This is a really bad thing. There are lots of chances for safety to be compromised, and those are the things I'm supposed to look out for. Then she says, I wish I had checked it more. Then she said, dummies go in easier than live rounds. One went in with more difficulty than the other 5. And she checked all 6 for a rattle. Clearly she didn't, because one of them had a hole in the side and wouldn't rattle, and one was live and wouldn't rattle. So those are bad statements she made. They're lies. They're demonstrably lies, and they show that she was not paying attention, and she may, in fact, have acted negligently. And they undercut, to a great extent, her lawyer's argument that She may not have been an armorer because she was told not to do her stuff. She was only paid for a certain number of days. When she said that, she was still in charge of this. I was in charge of all of that, she said, the day of the shooting. So kind of undercuts that a lot. Real quick, there was a couple of questions, a couple statements that I just brought up here. This is stupid on her part, but I don't know how the jury is going to respond to this. The jury's going to go, oh, this is her own words saying she was responsible for everything. She lied about what she did. She, done. I think they're going to cook her because of her own statements. I think she will be convicted because of her own statements. She said Alec denied her request for training for him. No, he refused her training. She offered him training and he refused it. Yeah, okay, that's what he said here. Yeah, she said Alec denied her request for more training for him. Right. He was also anti-gun nutcase. He has zero safety precautions. So I misread that. Sorry. Yeah, apologies. You are correct. Apologies there, born sinner. Greg Brenyo, maybe I'm just over observant, but why isn't she somewhat of a basket case? Someone died. Maybe I'm oversimplifying it. As someone mentioned in follow-up, which I know you saw, we didn't know she's dead at this point. Hannah didn't know she was dead. And also, this is part of their argument. She may have been a little bit high at that point in time. They made the same thing at least 16 hours before the shooting, which was 18 hours or so before this interview. She had been smoking weed. We don't know how long she smoked it, but there was a text saying, I'm lighting up 16 hours before the shooting. So she could have smoked the shit all night long. We don't know. So she may have been a little high, may have had a hangover, may have been coming down from it. There could be any number of reasons. JKD Buck, why did they quit? Really, the camera crew, is it our hotel sucks, or just that was one of their complaints. The hotel sucked, the distance from set sucked, the catering sucked, and I don't even know if they made specific negligence claims. She was doing things wrong. They may have said there were some safety violations, but I don't think they specifically mentioned her. And Born Sinner again, she's responsible because she's the one who brought them on site. No, and a lot of people say this. I think we're never going to find out how those live rounds got on set. I don't think we're ever going to find out. And I don't think it's important. I don't think it really matters, because assuming that she actually was functioning as an armorer, it's still her job to check them when loading. So if 90% of those of all of the ammunition on set had been live rounds, she still should have caught every single one of them. That's her job. So I don't think it really matters who brought them on set. If it was her, it makes her a little more negligent. If it wasn't her, she still should have caught it. And Coppins, a prosecutor sure seems to think she had a mic drop moment there. I think that was when he was talking about how the how dummies go in easier than live rounds. 5 dummies, 5 went in easy and 1 didn't. She kind of did think that, and I kind of sort of think it is definitely a nail in the coffin. All right, we've skipped through this. We've got no more super chats to line up, and we haven't even started down the road to Pig Dog Cam yet, let alone the other tiers. If this is a march down the yellow brick road from the Wicked Witch of the East's feet to Oz, this is Dorothy. We're at Dorothy walking out of her house and seeing the feet curl up under the house. That's where we are in the yellow brick road path to the Emerald City of Oz. So we'll start with the second interrogation video, and we'll keep going. And I will be right back. I need to take some aspirin for my foot. My foot is bothering me again today. All right, I shall put this back up, and then we shall continue with our little adventure here.
You may do so, okay? Do you all agree? Because this trial is long and
okay. This is a coffee thing. They're joking because the judge said no hot drinks, and everybody's really tired, and somebody smuggled in coffee, and one of the jurors smuggled in coffee. So the judge was being funny, saying, just don't spill because it stains the carpet, and I'll throw you out if you do.
Interview, and they've redacted some of it, so that's not going to work. However, we did Brian mentioned that you all had some, somebody said that you were having difficulties. So on listening to all of it or interpreting all of it. So what we're going to do is she's just going to stop from time to time and ask her to repeat what was heard or what was said. Okay. Now, if you really feel like you missed something and Ms. Morrissey or Mr. Bowles aren't asking the witness what was said, raise your hand. Don't be shy. Okay. Because if you'd have told us, we could have done that in the other video too. And we want you to hear as much as you can in the courtroom. And then of course you can always replay it when you're deliberating. Okay. All right. Thank you.
Corporal, throughout your investigation, was it your understanding that the rounds that were taken out of the gun after the shooting were left on the prop cart?
That was my understanding because of the statement Hannah had made, that when she went to check that weapon to see what was inside of it, that she did it over that prop cart.
Okay. And along those lines, where was the spent casing that we now heard testimony was fired from this gun? Where was that spent casing found?
It was on top of the prop cart.
Okay. So we are going to, let me get the exhibit number. I apologize. Okay, we are now going to play State's Exhibit 68. And just for clarification, can you see on your screen what we're looking at?
Yes.
So we understand that the first video was of the statement on October 21st. What date is this interview taking place?
This is November 9th, 2021.
I would ask to admit State's Exhibit 68 and permission to publish.
No objection.
Yes, they did it. You may publish.
There you go. Here we go. All right, let's do this. Yeah. That was fast. Sam? I thought that was fast. Oh, really? Wait. The other one was Sam? Yeah. Oh, geez.
If you turn it down a little, do you think you can hear better? I think so. Yeah, I think so.
Yes, but that control seems to really take it up or down significantly, so it's hard to fine tune it. Let me see if I can make it better from here, Georgie. If I can't, we'll push it down one up there.
Yeah. Sure, that's the thing. I'm actually primary on this. Okay.
I need to go up a little.
Up a little? Okay.
Yeah.
Let's try it there and see if I can get that. Okay.
I totally had you guys mix that. Okay.
What do you think?
I was kind of like out of it.
I can't tell what this
Oh,
means.
I think everybody was a little bit that day. Yeah. So it's formality.
Does that sound okay?
I noticed that this microphone's on. I don't know if that.
Hi, peeps.
Thank you.
Maybe
All right, all you Army people.
and then some of that.
I just took my ibuprofen. I'm going to be
Is that
okay,
one
right?
No? Okay. All right, let's
Mine's
see.
on and I can turn it off. And I think, Corporal, you can turn yours off as long as you remember to turn it back on when we're talking.
Oh, we got a super chat. I was going. Volpe Fox says, so it's 2 live,
remember-
1 broken dummy, and 3 dummies in the gun. Is that no? There was one. There was 5 dummies in the gun. There was 1 live round in the gun, 2 in Baldwin's belt, and I think there was 2 in Jensen Ackles' belt, and then there was 2 somewhere else. I think. I think there was 7 live rounds total.
That was fast. Sam? I thought that was fast. Oh, really? Wait. The other one was Sam? Yeah. Oh, geez. Yeah. She was assisting. I'm actually primary on this. Okay. I totally had you guys mixed up. Okay. I was kind of like out of it, so yeah. Oh, I think everybody was a little bit that day. Yeah. So it's formality. She finds this the first night. Okay. I'm gonna have you do it again tonight, just that way we're all in understanding. I know your attorney's here. This is your statement of rights. Okay. Okay. Oh, thank you. Do I check all of these? Yeah. Initial them for me. Okay.
All right, initial that you know your rights. Again, people are critical of her. What do you want her lawyer to say at this point? There's really not a whole bunch he can say. Don't answer this question when you already answered it 3 weeks ago. He's just making sure that her rights aren't being violated. They're not giving her pressure. They're not coercing her. They're not beating the shit out of her to get answers.
I don't even know what to do with this here. Yeah, I'm trying to find out what this is and I'll find it together. Kind of, we'll start out. I'm gonna kind of go over your experience again. Okay, so can you tell me your years of experience with an armor?
Okay, so pretty much mostly really started taking on this armor job in March with my dad. We did the movie Murder at Immigrant Gulch together on the same team. I was his assistant. And then I did my own job as head armor on the Old Way after that. And then after that, I did this, you know, and before that, I had gone on a couple of things with my dad, mostly doing production assistant work, but also still kind of watching him. Still kind of
I'm not drinking whiskey.
Yeah, so, I did Magnificent Seven like back in 2015, and we were out there for like 2 months, and I was learning a lot from him then too.
Okay, so pretty much just assisting him.
Yeah,
from 2015 until.
Yeah, pretty much. Just, and also, well, not like consistently either, because I was in college for a lot of that time.
Okay.
Yeah, so for a lot of before this, I was in college, so not really able to do the whole film set thing.
Okay, what did you go to college for?
This is a long interview. This is about 2 hours.
Yeah, and I also took a lot of art classes too.
So how many productions now do you have under your belt?
So it looks like they're going to go about 45 more minutes here, and then we'll switch over to today.
About seven, yeah. And then also I did a bunch in college, you know.
And then how many with you as head armor?
Head armor, just 2.
Okay.
Yeah,
that was the
this rest and the old way. Yeah.
Okay. How long did you spend on the old way?
We did that for a month and a week.
This is like not that much time.
Not that much time. No. But it was only me doing the guns on it. So it was me, 22 guns, doing all of the loading and everything myself.
Okay. What about any official training that you've done?
Official training? Not really much official training.
So just
I was planning on getting my concealed carry permit pretty soon, but haven't gotten there yet.
Okay. For what you do as an armorer, does this job require to use like specific tools when you're doing inspections on weapons?
So I don't really do the inspections on weapons too much. I'm not a gunsmith by any means, you know. I get them from Seth, like, you know, maintenance them and everything. I was cleaning a couple of them, and a couple of them did have some issues that I couldn't figure out, so I sent them back to Seth, and he sent them back to me, and they were okay.
Okay. So any type of like malfunction or anything that you came across would go?
Yeah.
You're talking about Seth Kenny, right?
Yeah. Okay. And I sent back one of the guns because the hammer was pulled back, and it wouldn't release back down, and I don't know, he said something about I cleaned it wrong or something. I'm not sure, but I cleaned 17 other pistols that day, so I don't know how I did that one wrong.
Okay. Do you remember which one that was?
You know, that was actually one of Miller's guns, and not related to the incident really, but Miller was one of the deputies, and just one of his, the hammer got stuck back, and I've never encountered that before, so I just went ahead and sent it back.
Okay. So as far as like the movie productions go, do they require you to have any certifications to work? And it can be like,
you know,
anything.
I'm not really sure entirely, just because most of the jobs I've gotten have just been like through word of mouth and everything.
This is alarming that she's not sure whether she needs any certifications to do her
I'm
job.
not really sure entirely what they are looking for. I know that they get a firearms license and everything, and a license for the area to shoot on and everything, but they usually get that. I don't even get that usually, so I'm not really sure in terms of what else. I know that Seth always tells me that I'm on his license to work with these weapons, and that's all I really know.
And that's kind of the same with Sarah, right?
Yeah. Not really sure what that's ever meant. Seth always just says Hannah and Sarah on my license.
Okay. But as far as like you go, there's no
no one really asks about much of that.
Like you don't have to take safety classes in regards to anything with movies.
So that's the thing. I was actually just getting into the union, and with the union and everything, because on the set they hired me non-union. But normally with the unions, you take a safety course, you take a sexual harassment course, and you take a few different things. And I had like literally just gotten the paperwork and everything to get in that. And you need 30 union days on a union show before you can do that. And so I had 22 before this job. And so a lot of the days from this job were going to count towards that.
Okay.
But yeah, so I wasn't even able to get that. But for other than that, like the whole industry doesn't really require anything. It's mostly just California or union, and I wasn't union.
Okay. And so Russ wasn't like, you know, like I obviously have to have a cert to be a cop.
Yeah, no, totally.
Like, you know, every year I got to take like driving courses and shooting courses and everything like that.
Yeah, no, totally. Yeah, no, Russ didn't really ask me anything about that. They kind of just conferred it all through Seth.
Okay. So I heard that you were hired to do a couple jobs on this set.
Yes.
Can you talk about or tell me about both of them?
Okay, so like originally when I got on the set, you know, I have always done armor kind of really separate from props. Like I'm always with props, but we do it ourselves, me and my dad, and props doesn't really interfere. This is the only job that I've taken where I was heavily incorporated into props, and it's because originally they had hired me for armor and key prop assistant. And that's not just like prop assistant, that's the key prop assistant. So that means more responsibility. That means I'm Sarah's second.
Okay.
In a lot of cases. So if there's an issue with props, it goes to Sarah, and then if there's an issue where Sarah can't, you know, isn't there, then it goes to me, and then we have our assistant Nicole. So I had my job is the armor, and originally I thought that I was mostly going to be doing my armor job and kind of left alone to do that. But after the first week, I got talked to by some people in production, and they were told that I wasn't really pulling my weight in props. So basically, I was told that I needed to shift my focus less on armor and more on props.
Who did they expect to take on the armor role if it wasn't your?
I don't know. They told me, they said, yeah, we hear that you're taking your armor job very seriously, but we need you to support props right now because props is also.
This is
stuff.
helpful
I was
to
like, okay, I'll try my
her.
best to do that. And they said,
I think
Normally
this is
before
something
that, I
that
would
her
kind of be
lawyer
on the
worked
hot
with
desk,
her
like,
before
work
she
on guns and
testified on
kind of
this.
be in there doing my own stuff if there weren't any guns on set.
You actually
But
had
after
2
that, they just told me,
jobs.
like, no, we want you on set. We want you as a present on set for props.
Okay.
Yeah, so was split up quite a bit.
Can you give me some examples of what you would do, like when you were interested in props?
Okay, yeah. So normally, you know, I kind of, like for the saloon scene, I would just kind of be standing there, you know, watching over the guns and everything, checking them for the actors as I brought them into the actors. That's just my job as the armor. With the saloon and everything, I'm pouring drinks for props. I'm running outside and rolling cigarettes. I'm like doing several different things and grabbing several different props and setting props up constantly. And so, yeah, when some scenes aren't exactly super prop heavy and sometimes they're just kind of gun heavy. And so in that case, I can like focus more on the guns, but sometimes I would split between running the guns and also dealing with the props. But Nicole, the assistant, tried to help alleviate that a little bit, but not every, you know, she was pretty green, so had to step in a lot.
Okay.
Yeah. Mostly I thought that I was there doing props at the beginning just to help find everything because we got hired on a week before. And normally you hire the prop master a month in advance. Sarah got brought on a week before. I got brought on a little after her. And so we were just kind of running around that first week trying to find props. And then I thought after that, you know, after she got the assistant, I'd be able to focus more on the guns. But then production talked to me and said that I needed to focus more on props. So.
Okay. And who's from production?
Gabrielle Pickle and also the head of the art department, Brian. Mostly, yeah, Sarah just said that I couldn't really support props in the way needed. So they were talking about possibly I was talking to them and I was like, well, do you not want me to do props at all in this case and just focus on the guns? And they were like, no, like we don't want Nicole stepping up and taking your position. We want you to step into this position and we think it's a great opportunity for you. But really, I just got to do 2 jobs for less pay.
Yeah. How do you feel about that?
That's why they wanted you to do it.
A lot, but I'm super eager. And when someone kind of says, like, you know, you can do this, like, then I'm just like, okay.
You can do it.
You know, so ultimately it was frustrating, but at the same time I was like, all right, got to go and kick ass and props now, I guess, too.
Yeah. Did you ever have like any time that specifically pointed out to you where you felt overwhelmed?
Well, you know, props, we were told a lot, you know, that we were kind of lagging and like the wranglers would kind of shit on us for not propping up horses soon enough or like not getting actors propped up soon enough. So props was definitely struggling. And then after that talk I had with Brian, I went to Sarah and I was like, I'm not like pulling my weight, you know? And I tried to talk to her about it and she was like, yeah, I didn't mean to like be a jerk about it. I just wanted to let them know that I needed more help in the department. And so we talked about it and I was like, well, that's cool. Just maybe next time go ahead and talk to me first before going to Brian and Gabrielle.
Do you know why they didn't utilize Nicole more?
Well, we definitely did utilize Nicole, but ultimately I have a very strong personality. And also a lot of the times, like my personality would even be stronger than Sarah's in a lot of respects. And a lot of people were already kind of gaining respect for me, like in terms of like, you know, the wranglers and everything. And I'm just good at meshing with other departments, you know, so they wanted me on set more just to kind of, you know, be a presence of props and really, you know, kind of just be a demanding force.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did you ever express to them at any point if you felt overwhelmed? Or
after that, you know, I thought we were doing pretty good of managing both. There were some days, you know, where I would talk to Sarah and I was like she would be like, could you come out here and see what's going on with me? And I was like, no, dude, I need to like focus on guns and I need to pull guns for later on. And she would be like, well, you're the second. I think you should be here with me on set to watch this. And I was like, there's not a lot of props out there. I'm going to be here doing the guns. Okay. So there was a couple of times, but I also kind of really held my ground on not, you know, spreading myself too incredibly thin.
Or getting overrun by others.
Yeah, exactly. Because you kind of just have to, you know, but ultimately with higher positions, sometimes you get ran over.
Okay. Who hired you for Rust?
I believe, I'm not really sure. Fest just texted me and he was like, you got the job, prop assistant, so-and-so. I sent him my resume and they, Sarah sent it in and I think Roe approved it. And yeah, so Sarah hired me, Roe approved it.
Okay. So it's not like a typical hiring process for a job where you have to go in and...
Yeah, no, there's no real interviews like any time in film. Film is a very weird industry. Word of mouth by all means. I think it's so weird how like secretive it is almost, you know, like it's really hard to get on anything unless you know somebody. And if you stop working for a while, it's like almost hard to jump back in it. Yeah. It's really weird. You can't just like look up like film jobs in your area and then go and apply. That's not a thing. Yeah. I really wish it was kind of like that. That would probably, that'd be a lot better. But right now there's just such a media surge, especially that, you know, they're just kind of getting on anyone that they can bring really because the media surge with all of these different like the networks and everything coming out with their own little internet things, making.
Well, they're just shooting the shit over here. I just want to say there's 308 concurrent viewers here and 250 likes. Thank you so much for all those likes. If you haven't liked the video, please do that. If you haven't subscribed, please do me a favor. Subscribe to the video. Take the like and subscribe poll. And
I'm not really entirely sure. I know it's mostly California. You know, each union is kind of specific to the area. Yeah, I think that one is the most put together one, and it's definitely the most active one, which is why I was trying to be a part of it. And I had already actually started the like kind of OSHA safety one a little bit after this actually, so I had already been starting that.
because I just got in like a little bit before that into the program.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So as far as your employment on Rust, were you hired on a contract, or how?
I was
how
hired.
determined?
I was hired on a contract. Yeah, you know, the contract wasn't really specific to the job per se. The contract was just like regular employee contract. Jason has a copy of it.
Okay. Is there any way I can get a copy?
Sure, yeah.
I would
Yeah.
certainly like to see a copy of the
Besides
contract.
You and Sarah and Nicole, were there any other armorers or prop masters or anybody brought onto the set at any time?
I don't believe so. Not anyone brought on the set. I don't really know if Seth ever came to set, but he was the mentor on the paperwork and everything, and he was like where we got most of our stuff from.
Okay.
Yeah.
But no one else ever worked with you guys? They didn't do like late hire?
Oh, so they did bring in one girl for swing shift, but I don't even know if she ever made it to set or if she just met up with Sarah outside of set.
Okay.
But yeah, we had finally, week 2 was coming around and we told them like, it's getting crazy busy. We can't have Sarah leaving set to go find these things. So they brought in a day player that could run around and go find things for us.
Okay.
Because before that, Sarah had to leave set a lot of the time. Oh, that also contributed to spreading us thin for a little while there. That's why they brought in the third person, because ultimately Sarah would have to leave set.
So we're just checking how much time was left.
And it would just be me out there.
And what would Sarah do at that time?
Sarah would go try to find props, because with them bringing her in a week, you know, it's hard to find like a weird Indian axe, you know, like there's a bunch of weird obscure things for a period piece that are super hard to find. So she would go try to find them, meet up with other prop masters in the area and see if they had them.
Do you know who that fourth was?
You know, I think her name was Jade.
Jade.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I was hoping for her to come more on set, but yeah, they just hired her as a day player every now and then.
Okay, so as far as, and I know some of this that we've talked about before, some of it might be a little bit redundant.
Okay.
But just trying to cover all bases. So again, who provides the ammo?
So as far as I'm concerned, me and Sarah, we went together and we picked up the ammunition and all the weapons and my leathers from Seth Kinney in Albuquerque at his shop. Yeah, we got 2 boxes of ammo, I'm pretty sure, that day. And then as we went on in the show, there were a couple of times that we needed more. So Sarah and I would text him, you know, that we needed more. And occasionally Sarah brought in more ammo from Seth.
Okay. Those 2 boxes that were
Duncan, we are $90 away.
Originally supplied.
We're $90 away from Doggo
I
County.
think they're
So
like
far
boxes,
down the
like,
road.
no, they were like bigger boxes, for sure. Yeah, no, a lot of them were, there wasn't a lot of dummies in those really much at all. There were some dummies, you know, like obscure dummies that we couldn't really get, like the 50-70 rounds, you know. I don't know if you're familiar with those. Those are big rounds. They go in the trap door. So we had some of those dummies with it. But in terms of 45 long Colt dummies, I don't think there was a lot of dummies in there. And so I asked Seth about it, and I said, hey, like, where's all the long Colt dummies? Because the 45, you know, 45 ammo is like different than 45 long Colt. So we didn't exactly, I couldn't find that.
Bridget,
so,
go back. We just talked
he
about
told
this.
me
She
to
said all the
check
bad stuff in
the
her
dummies
first
that I had from the last
interrogation
show,
without a
because we got
lawyer.
and everything. So I went back through a bag that I had.
What's he gonna say? Don't
And
answer
I
the
went
question
through
you've already
and checked all of
answered.
them, and I put them into 2 boxes. And so we had 2 boxes of 45 long Colt dummies that were mine from the last show. Originally.
Cage.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I just brought those off of the old way, and they were in my car for like 2 weeks. I jumped right off of the old way into this. I was barely home for like a week. So,
And he told you to check your time.
Yeah.
And what you had to take it.
yeah.
So he authorized you to bring.
He authorized me to bring, dummies.
Okay.
And then also there was one time where he didn't give us any 8 loads, and I had 1 box of 8 loads, and so I was like.
So Corporal, just to be clear, what we just heard, did Ms. Gutierrez tell you that she brought 2 boxes of dummies onto the set of Rust that she had left over from the old way?
Yes,
And did she also explain that they were loose in a bag in her car and they had been there for 2 weeks?
that's correct.
And did she explain that she took them out of the bag and put them in boxes?
Yes.
Nice. That's and one more thing. It's like, contrary to what you would like to think happened, is police questioning isn't like the police asking a question, the lawyer going, don't answer that, not letting them answer any question. That doesn't really happen in real life. that much. And you say, plead the fifth. It doesn't, I'm just saying it doesn't really happen a lot like that. Your lawyer is there. He's to protect your rights. He's making sure they're not beating you, they're not pressuring you, they're not asking these have you stopped beating your wife kind of questions. And if there is something that's incredibly incriminating, they'll say don't answer. But I mean, just it's not practical, and it doesn't really happen that much for this. Go, don't say a word, we're out of here. Just my 2 cents.
Okay. I'm gonna use my box of A-flows, put it on the invoice, and I would have received money for that.
For blanks.
For blanks, yeah, A-flow blanks.
Okay. Did you ever get recompensated for this?
No, I don't really plan on it, given the circumstances, because usually that goes through Seth, and then Seth kicks me down with whatever.
Okay.
Yeah.
So how many rounds, and 2 boxes is, you know, kind of hard for us to, we're just trying to understand. So how many rounds would you say were supplied at the beginning?
You know, mind if I check my phone real quick? I think Seth like sent me a picture of like it written on cardboard or something.
Okay.
Or actually, if you look at the boxes, I think the boxes.
On the flap?
Yeah, on the flap should say it.
Okay.
Did you see that at all?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't.
That's the, yeah, okay, that's what Seth showed me. So that same thing, that's what should have all been in there.
Okay.
Born Sinner asks, what's
so
Pig
you
Dog
and
Cam?
Sarah picked it up.
This is Pig Dog
Yeah.
Cam.
Yeah.
From Albuquerque.
That's my pig dogs.
And then,
Yeah, but we couldn't exactly bring it to set right away because they hadn't had the prop truck ready for us. So we had to leave it, you know, she had the guns in her car in Albuquerque. I had the ammo in my trunk at the hotel, and then we just took them to set the next day.
Okay, so it was less than
Overnight, yeah, just overnight.
It was like multiple days that's
Multiple days of what?
I was just gonna say, for Sarah to keep all those in her vehicle in Albuquerque, that's a
Well,
bold move.
well, it was only one night, and she had a garage.
Okay.
So that's why we ultimately, she was like, "Do you want them to go with you or me?" And I was like, "You have a garage, you know." Oh, I know. I told her. So he was all like, "Get those and get out," and I was like, "Oh yeah."
So when you guys brought additional rounds on the set for additional boxes and needed more, how did those get delivered?
Sarah brought them in most of the time. I never saw Seth after the first time that I saw him before the show.
Okay. So did Sarah, you know, she went and picked them up from Albuquerque, or how did she get them?
She lived in Albuquerque, so most of the time she would just run and grab them.
Okay.
Yeah.
Um,
I'm not sure if she got any more from anyone else. I had heard that some of the dummies were borrowed from someone. I don't
So
know.
she
said
heard
that
some
losing
dummies
them,
were
like,
borrowed
get
from
them back.
somewhere. She brought some
A lot of the gun belts
from
and everything,
somewhere.
try not to lose them.
Her.
and then how much did you supply of your own?
Of my own dummies?
Yeah.
Just the 2. And we mostly went through those right away just because 2 boxes, 2 of the little boxes, not like big boxes, just the little boxes. And yeah, I had 2 of those, and most of mine had the no primer caps, the ones I showed you, remember?
Is it the ones that are like indented in?
Yes. So a lot of those were mine, and then also I had a multitude of the ones with holes and the ones you shake. So yeah, and I checked those all and I put them into 2 things myself. Yeah.
Do you remember what those boxes look like?
Yeah, I do. They usually say JS on them.
Okay.
This is one that my dad sent me. And mine are usually beat up pretty bad. Like they're very dirty and gross usually.
Okay. Do you know what the JS stands for in them?
Just one.
Okay.
I agree
I
with
have
you.
not,
Let's
but
go.
my dad-
Totally not a Russian bot.
Yeah.
Let me stop it there for a moment. Corporal, did Ms. Gutierrez show you a photograph on her phone during the interview?
Yes, she did.
And did she indicate to you that the photograph that she was showing you was a photograph of the box or a box that would be like the box that she brought onto the set that had dummies?
Yes.
And did she tell you who she got that photo from?
She said in her interview that she got that photo from her father, which is that rude.
And I'm going to show you what has previously been admitted into evidence as State's Exhibit 69. Do you see that?
Yes.
Is that the exact photo that she showed you during the interview?
Yes, it is.
Thank you.
Woo, 69 for 69. Evidence number 69. She's
Does
starting
this
to look a little
exactly
tired.
like the,
She's starting to look
box
a
of
little
dummies that
down.
Mr. Benavides took from the prop cart on October 21st, 2021.
Yes, it was exactly like it.
Thank you.
All right. So as far as the ammo goes, who has access?
They stay in the truck. Like the only thing that's in the safe is the guns. So yeah, pretty much. I don't know if they locked the prop truck at night or what happened with that, but yeah. So pretty much just me, Nicole, Sarah, and the first week we did share that prop truck with locations.
Okay.
But other than that, the prop truck, would kind of be open most days just because we're running in and out of there. And sometimes, ammo is underneath on our cart, just chilling there usually.
Like on the floor of the
On the box, no, on the cart.
Okay. On
Yeah.
the second shelf.
Yes, yeah.
Okay.
I usually try to keep it down there.
So all the ammo is pretty much out in the open.
Yeah.
I mean.
Yeah, unless it wasn't like taken out directly of the boxes or anything, then yeah, the ones that are out there are out in the open pretty much regularly.
Okay. And they never get locked up in the safe.
No.
Okay. Were all the guns provided by Seth?
All right, this has nothing to do with the trial, but Flux has triggered me. Some hellspawn just reheated fish in the office kitchen. Anyone that microwaves fish in an office needs the death penalty. That should be a capital offense. They should immediately be arrested, given a kangaroo court, and summarily executed. Who does that? Who heats fish in an office microwave? Oh my God. Ugh. Animals. Even Hannah wouldn't do that. Mitch, thank you so much for the $2. Hannah looking extra cute today. Yeah, she was looking cute. This is the afternoon session of yesterday. She was looking really good in the morning. Now she's just kind of looking beat down, a little tired. She's heard a lot of shit about her all day long. Poor girl. But you know, she's on trial. Not for no reason.
Yes.
And who has access to the guns?
Sarah and I believe Nicole kind of knew the code, but I don't think she remembered it most of the time.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did she ever remove the guns from the safe?
I had her put them away sometimes. Okay. Mostly
No,
because I couldn't leave that.
Kimchi in the office. That's just a regular thing over here. In Korea, it's weird if you don't smell kimchi in the office.
Mostly somebody has to lock them up and they shouldn't be on set. So, Sarah or I would give her permission to go over there and just put them in there.
Okay.
Yeah.
But that's something that you guys are allowed to do, is give someone else permission.
I would think for a prop assistant, yeah.
Okay.
She only put them away ever.
So who all has the ability to lock the safe?
I mean, anyone that has arms, can close it.
Is that you don't have to punch in the code again to lock it?
No.
So
who can close it? Anyone with arms. That's my favorite answer for all of her interrogations.
None of us have the truck ever. We figured that's kind of like the transpo's job. We don't have locks for the trucks normally. I know some prop masters lock up their own trucks, but yeah, I'm not really sure. We kind of just close ours up every day.
Okay.
I don't know if Transpo ever locked it.
Okay. Do you know who was in charge of that truck?
Not specifically.
Okay.
I don't remember his name.
It was a male though.
Yeah.
Can you describe him?
He was a sweet old Hispanic man with a nice mustache.
Okay. Heavy set, midweight.
Midweight.
That's a great identifier, Hannah. The Hispanic man with the mustache. Let's ask our very own our very own personal expert on such matters, Mexican Vader. Mexican Vader. What percentage of Mexican men have mustaches? I'm saying greater than 95%. So, Mexican Vader, cue us in. What percentage of Mexican males have mustaches? Anyway, that's a great descriptor. Yeah. Oh, that guy. Which guy? Oh, yeah, the Hispanic guy with the mustache. Oh yeah, that one.
And he was the one primarily in charge of that truck.
Towards the second week, yeah. Before that, we kind of just had random people moving it, and then eventually he got assigned to us, pretty much.
Okay.
Yeah.
In the morning when you got there, was it ever locked up?
No.
So you just walk in
and pull the handle.
Mexican Vader says 100% of every Mexican man has a mustache. I'm speaking from experience, both my own and the rest of my family. See, saying that who was it? Oh, it was the Mexican guy with the mustache. That gives you zero help. That's the joke I was making. Korea. What do they look like? Oh, short, brown hair. Brown eyes. What? Duh. All right, let's continue.
Yeah, that's what we normally did. Yeah, we just closed up the side and we would unlock the handle. We figured it was usually being watched by security.
Do they just have security? I don't know if you don't know, but do they just have security at that front gate there, or do they have?
I know that I've seen some security around other parts of set, just in a car, but that was mostly after the incident and everything, and it was just a car near the church.
Okay.
So that's really all I know about the security measures.
Right. So you'd say, as far as ammo goes, it is common to have it outside of that.
Yeah, no, it's super common to have it outside of the safe.
Who loads the ammo?
Fair point.
The guns?
Me and Sarah.
Okay, you both load them.
Yeah.
And who loads ammo into the bandoliers or the belts? And
that's me and Sarah again. I think Nicole helped us a couple of times shaking them.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did she ever actually load them, or did she just shake
into
them and say they're good?
She would shake them and put them into the belt with me.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you know how often, I should say, when did you guys put the ammo in the bandoliers?
A lot of them already had it in there. So from the last Nick Cage set and everything. So still check those ones out and everything. But we, of course, had a couple more that we had to like switch around and everything. So mostly the whole first week, we were switching them around. And then after that, we did have a couple more characters come in with different, you know, waist sizes. So we would have to like put them in other belts too.
So some of these belts already had rounds in them.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you remember which ones?
No. They mostly got switched around a lot, and a lot of them fell out pretty regularly out of
rounds
the,
in them?
yeah, the dummy rounds would fall out sometimes just because when they're riding the horses, they jiggle out. We regularly have to put more in them.
So since some of this ammo came from another production, was the ammo in those belts ever checked?
Yeah.
So you guys physically removed them from the belts?
Yeah.
And checked them?
Yes.
Okay. And who all did the checking?
That was me. That was involved in the 2 boxes that I did.
At the beginning?
Yes.
All right. So when ammo's not being used, then does it ever go back in a box? Does it stay?
When ammo's not being used, if it's about to be used, it's there on the bottom of the cart. Like if we're gonna get into it later that day, we don't really have time to run back to the truck. So we usually keep it right there if we're shooting that day. If we're not shooting that day, it doesn't really come on set. I'll usually bring like maybe a box of quarter loads just in case they randomly decide that they want to shoot something because they'll change their minds last minute and then you have to be prepared for that.
Who's they?
Directors, actors, whoever just like feels like maybe I should be shooting right now, kind of.
Okay. So when you go to unload the belts or the guns, anything of the sort, does it go back in the box?
The belts? Like we don't ever take once the dummies are on the belt, they stay on the belt, and the belts just get hung in the prop truck.
Okay.
Like yeah, and then for the guns and everything, yeah, we take all the dummies out if it's dummied up, and then of course we take the blanks out too.
But where do they go?
They go back in the box.
Okay.
Or sometimes the dummies they'll go on the cart, on the top of the cart.
Okay. So would you say that ammo's ever mixed?
The dummies and the blanks,
or just various kinds of dummies?
Well, various kinds of dummies. Yeah, like I told you, all dummies are kind of weird and individual in their own way, pretty much. So yeah, they were mixed pretty regularly.
Okay. So it's not like, I say, hey, I take these rounds out of here and you have to go back in that specific box because these are...
No, they just go in a dummy box, in a box of dummies.
So are actors or crew members on set, are they advised to self-inspect weapons?
I'm not really sure. Most of the time when they tell me, like I'll go up to them and I'm like, here, and I show them it's clear, they'll be like, it's okay, I trust you. I say, don't trust me, go ahead and always check for yourself.
Okay.
But
yeah, not required self-check.
No, not really.
Okay.
But I do show them every time before I hand them off to them.
She's clearly been prepared.
Show them that the gun's clear.
She's doing much better this time than she did last time, but
Jensen does his own safety checks.
Damage done.
Travis does his own safety checks. Travis ML. Devin was getting into doing his own safety checks because I taught him how to do it. So he was kind of getting better at that.
What do they do to do these checks?
Pull the hammer back to half cock, spin it around, and close it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So not pulling it rounds out, checking them themselves?
No, not really.
Okay. Has it ever been common practice for actors to?
I'm not really too sure.
What about on your last production? Did they ever do their own?
Nick Cage definitely did not. He barely really cared to train with the gun at all. A lot of actors sometimes will barely care to train with the gun at all and think that they'll just do it on the day. But yeah, no, not a lot of them take it out and check them.
Okay. When you or somebody gives a gun to an actor, do you tell them like, hey, these are the rounds that are in this gun? Like, do you tell them it's hot or cold, and then what kind of ammo is in the gun?
I'm sorry, can you repeat that question?
So
I tell them, all right, so this is a clear gun if there's no dummies in it, right? If it's dummied up, I show them and I say this is dummied up, and usually I have the dummies that have no primer tab in there. So I'll show them that. And then if it's hot, I'll tell them it's hot, and I'll tell them 4 quarter loads or 4/8 loads or
whatever is in the gun.
Yeah, and I let them know exactly how many is in there. And I put it exactly to where they'll shoot it and it'll go for that time.
Okay. Have you ever allowed access to anyone for any of these firearms?
No. Like for using them on set or?
For any purpose?
Well, I allow
outside of what the scope was?
No.
all right, we're
after
almost
hours,
done with
during
yesterday.
No.
Days that you guys weren't.
No, me, Nicole, and Sarah ate lunch together pretty regularly, pretty much every day, except for a couple of days where I would sit at another table or converse with some other people. But yeah, we all went to lunch together. We all locked them up every day at lunch, and we all locked them up every night. And I definitely didn't go to work on my weekends because why would I do that?
Right.
I want to be there as least as possible. So we all, yeah. So yeah, last weekend I
I was in Denver the first weekend actually. So yeah, then the other one I was just relaxing at my hotel.
Did you spend any time with anybody on the weekend?
Yeah, I spent some time with the nice boy at the front desk at my hotel. He was nice.
Spend
I
some
hung out
time with
some
a
crew
nice
members,
boy at the
bowling one
hotel
time.
desk. Dealer.
And other than that, I didn't really hang out with people outside
Just
the set
kidding.
too much. And I kind of went and did my own thing in Denver the week before. We haven't really been there that long.
Did you go out? Did you go out with the crew one night too? I think they said some brewery.
Yeah. We went to the brewery downtown after bowling.
After bowling.
Yeah.
Okay, and that was on the day off though.
Yeah.
Did you have work the next day?
No, that was Monday. We worked. We had Monday, Tuesday off.
Okay. Do you remember which Monday it was?
It was the last Monday before the incident. So 20th was the incident, I believe, on Wednesday. 21st. So
The 11th.
the Monday.
Columbus Day. Is that holiday?
No. Yeah, it would be the 18th.
Okay. So you're off that Monday and Tuesday.
Yeah.
And then we're back on.
Yeah.
Okay. Have you yourself, and not just on this side, but have you ever encountered a defective blank or
A defective dummy?
Yeah.
So, I've had a couple of blanks that haven't gone off, but usually that's because the actor doesn't pull the hammer all the way back. And so it'll just be at half cock. And so when they shoot it, it won't ignite it. And I usually just say like, oh, it was a misfire to kind of save the actor's face a little bit in that case.
Mm-hmm.
And then in terms of bad dummies, I had never experienced a bad dummy.
Okay. So what's your standard protocol like if one of them's defective?
The dummies or the blanks?
Either one.
Okay, so if the blanks are defective, usually I'll just take them, I'll put them in my pocket, I'll save them for later. And then if I'm curious enough, I'll just go ahead and like shoot them and be like, okay, yeah, they didn't pull the hammer all the way back. Or if the dummies were defective, I guess I would put them in my pocket and just save them till later and check them out.
Okay. Have you ever, in your history working, encountered live rounds on the set?
Never.
Okay. And how do you know that?
Because every dummy I've ever shaken has been a dummy, and the other ones have holes on the side, and I've never experienced a round that looked like a dummy and behaved like a blank or anything. So yeah, I am shaking all of them most of the time.
Okay.
So
Except for this time when it really mattered.
Go over each round and then how the round.
Did Gutierrez tell you she was shaking all of them?
Is your microphone on?
Sorry. Did Ms. Gutierrez tell you that she was shaking all of them most of the time?
Yes.
Thank you.
Yep.
each round of blanks.
And dummies. So I know
Okay.
there's like obviously a couple different kinds of dummies.
Okay, yeah. Okay.
You don't have to go into like
No, it's okay.
specific caliber or anything of that sort, but just
Okay, let's, all right. So a lot of dummies, the ones with primer caps, those ones mostly go in the belts and everything. A lot of the primer caps are punctured most of the time, because they get hit while they're in the gun. So those will go in the gun sometimes if I don't have the other ones. There are some with holes in the side that also still have the primer caps and everything. And then there's the ones with no primer caps, and there's a hole in the side sometimes too with those, and sometimes there's not. And mostly I like to put the ones with no primer caps into the guns, just to make everyone feel safe. And then for the other ones, those go in the belts, and the ones that have the primer caps.
Corporal, is it your understanding from your investigation that the dummies that were put into Mr. Baldwin's prop gun on October 21st, 2021, all had missing primer caps?
No.
Clearly they
They're
didn't.
good for both, really.
okay. And then
For all the loads, yeah, all right. So for all the blanks, all the quarters, so there's 8 loads. Those are the super quietest ones. And I just worked with Ryan Armstrong, that little 11-year-old on the old way, and I had her use those. So especially if it's someone that's really young and new with the guns, I'll make sure that they're the smallest load possible, which is an 8. Some horses require 8 loads. Most of the time I'll put the box and I'll put horsey rounds on them in my own handwriting. So that way I know.
and are those 8?
Yeah, those are the 8s. And then sometimes, I will, if it's super close proximity and inside 8s too, but quarters also work for inside proximities that are close. And then on top of that, for the quarters, around kids, around horses too, that's like the last size pretty much allowed. And then we do the half loads if it's going into like a rifle or if we're outside, like we did a lot of half loads on the show because a lot of it was outside. And then for the full loads, it's very rare still that I use a full load unless like an actor is just really weird and wants it. Alec only wanted to train with full loads because he wanted it to look realistic.
Mm-hmm.
And most of the time I'll use full loads if it's a really big gun, like a trapdoor or something, a trapdoor rifle. That would have a lot of smoke coming out of it, so you want to make sure it looks realistic.
Okay. Were all of these used for rust?
Fulls were used for us, some of my 8s were used for us, quarters were used for us, and halves were used for us, yeah.
Okay.
So it was really a variety and just depending on the situation.
Okay. And then, is anyone allowed to bring their personal firearms on set?
No.
Did you see anybody bring personal firearms?
No.
And did you ever see anyone bring ammo?
No.
Did anybody ask you about going target shooting?
Yeah, the Wranglers made a joke about it one time to me, and I said something to the effect of, well, you can try, you don't have the ammo.
Okay. What did they say? Do you remember?
Not really. I don't really remember what they said.
What they insinuated about shooting actual rounds?
Yeah. I think that they were joking, though.
Okay.
A lot of boys on set will be like, oh my god, can we go shoot the guns? It's just, yeah.
So no one pressured you into it?
No one ever seriously pressured me into it.
What about Sarah?
What about Sarah?
Did she ever mention anything about
shooting? No. Sarah, yeah, no. She never mentioned anything about shooting, and we left every day at the same time and pretty much got there just around a little after each other.
So as far as safety protocols on set, do you recall any sort of safety protocols during the time of the production?
We had a couple of safety meetings. A lot of days we did not, which normally is typical anytime that there's firearms or live animals on set or open flames, you do a safety meeting. So a lot of those days we did not have a safety meeting. Other than that,
who hosted them?
Huh?
Who hosted those safety meetings?
Dave.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you remember what they were about?
Guns, like the guns and everything. We also said, because actors will leave guns around sometimes, they'll forget them. So we always tell people, like, don't ever touch a gun if you see it, because Jensen totally left his on the snack bar one time. Yeah. We found that pretty promptly. But
Yeah,
she's
being way too
like
casual, way too cavalier with her leg up.
no, I think it was about the cafeteria. No, we have crappy
It's
on
only
set
3
really
weeks
close to
after the death.
Yeah.
That would be interesting. Talking about the snack bar, like the little trailer. That has all the...
No, it's crappy. Just a table on set with we put the stars on it.
My favorite part of getting to this movie stuff.
Oh yeah, I love when they have the trailer. Yeah, those are the legit ones. This one was stupid cheap. Yeah, they barely let her make suits for us. They barely let her make suits for us, and she had to fight hard for the suit. I called Becca the soup angel. She fought hard for those suits.
Did you ever see safety bulletins?
Where would they be posted, I wonder? Sometimes they would put some things in the call sheet, like some safety bulletins and everything.
Do you remember what they said?
I think they would pertain to COVID. They would pertain to, firearms on set. They would pertain to live animals. Yeah, it's usually kind of in red on the call sheet.
Okay.
Other than that, they would sometimes in an email, put it in red, anything you needed to know about the day.
Do you still have those emails?
I think I might have some of those emails still.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you want to grab those? Because, that's, obviously
Yeah.
a big, who distributes, because you guys would get call sheets the night before,
Yeah.
right?
A few minutes left.
Tim Becerra usually sends them out.
Okay.
Yeah.
What is his position?
He is also an assistant director, but he's more of the type where he is never on set and his only job is sitting in the office and creating these schedules and doing all the paperwork.
So he's normally out.
Yeah, he's normally never on set, that poor boy.
All right. Who would you think is in charge of the safety meetings that were being held?
Dave, and then the first time we did it, he let me speak. Yeah, and I told people, these are regular weapons we have on set. Don't stand in front of them. Don't point them at anybody. And then after that, the only other one we had was the day of, and Dave kind of just covered most of that.
Okay. Do you remember what you talked about the day?
Not entirely. He just told everybody, we do have, blanks on set. We are going to have a lot of gunfire today. We have real guns on set. No one touch them, and things like that. And also things about the horses. He told.
When did you host a safety meeting?
I never hosted one all by myself.
Okay. What did you say that he let you know?
He let me hop in on his.
Okay.
Yeah. He said, Hannah, do you have anything else to add? And I said, yeah. And I said, let's be safe. No one be standing in the way of these things, and just don't be, if it's pointing in that direction, don't stand in front of it.
Okay. Do you remember what day that was then?
That was the first day we had gunfire on set, which I believe was the second day that we started on set.
It's the 2 misfires they had in one, not 2 misfires, 2 negligent discharges in one day.
Actors or crew members when it comes to gun safety?
So it really also depends on the actors too. Big ones like Nick Cage, if they tell me, or if they tell the director, that they don't really care to do it, I can try to teach them for the most part, but a lot of the times they might not even listen to me or really pay attention or be on their phone. Alec was on his phone a lot of that entire thing. But for the most part, they put me in training this time. It was pretty irregular how I trained actors this time. This time they put 9 people all together in one day that I was supposed to train. And during this time, they put a ton of producers right there. Normally I train the actors one-on-one. It makes them feel comfortable. It allows them to not be distracted and everything. And this time they had me training 3 people at once, and a ton of producers behind me. The director's there too. The producers are talking to the actors. The actors were distracted even too. And I tried my best to work with all 3 of them. I worked with Jensen. You could probably see a video of him saying
she showed me like, this is how you check it, this is how we make sure it's safe. So I try to do that standard same thing every time, show them how to check their own gun and show them how to make sure it's safe. And then I always I have them draw it a few times, with nothing in there, make sure that they have the draw down. Usually a little before that, I'll have them like just fire off a couple of quarter loads, so they can get the idea of not drawing it from their thing, but just holding it and firing it so they can understand what they're going to be doing. And then after that, we work on the actions that they're going to specifically do. So, if I know that they have a scene and everything, we kind of talk it out together and like how they would run, pull it out, what they could do, how not to let it fall on the ground, how not to like let rocks get inside of it. Yeah.
Makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
What about safety rules? Do you advise them any of those?
Safety rules such as I tell them all the time not to point them at each other. That's my biggest one. And I always say to everyone in front of them, I'm like, if you don't have to be here, don't be here.
I tell them all the time,
other
don't
than
point
that,
your guns at
safety
each other.
wise,
Well, good that she
I
does
tell
that.
them to keep their finger out of the trigger guard unless they're ready to shoot, because that's how a lot of accidental discharges will happen. And that's just what my dad's told me at least. So I always try to advise them to keep their finger out of the trigger guard. And yeah.
Okay. Besides you, were there any other trained armorers on the set?
Sarah was kind of trained by Seth. Yeah. I believe Sarah did a show before, and I think that there were 2 guns involved in the show. And Seth had trained her personally for that.
Okay.
And then I also kind of showed her what to do at the beginning of it to make sure that she wouldn't have an accidental discharge. But she still did so.
Yeah. So before any gun scene, even just like rehearsal or filming or anything of the sort, did they do a brief?
Sometimes they would have time to like really go into it and everything and like kind of, work out the action. Sometimes they would do like an overall one, where they kind of just say like bang, 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 bang. So we did have some rehearsals. Sometimes, there wasn't always rehearsals.
Okay.
So sometimes, yeah, we totally had like rehearsals, usually the big ones, and we just kind of have people go bang, 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 bang.
All right. As far as, so what it's been referred to as the show and tell day, where you brought out
Yeah.
Pretty much everything, right?
Yeah, we brought out every gun that we had that Seth gave to us, and the director really just wanted a lot of options for people, especially because there are so many big names on this. So he wanted to be sure that all the actors knew that it was possible for them to switch around their guns, and that just because we had thought that they would look good with that gun doesn't mean that they were stuck with it.
Okay. Can you go into a little bit more detail about how this day played out? Like, where did you guys set up this table?
Okay.
And
yeah. So the day played out, we go to the edge of the town and everything, away from all the people working on the other side. They set up a table, they set up an easy up for us, and the prop truck was coming later that day, so that was finally the first day that we got to get the prop truck going.
How long does she go into the day?
I'm
sorry, I don't recall.
Was it more than 20 minutes? Let's break so that we can have this uninterrupted, what went on in the day.
And just to be clear, I think what she's talking about is the day of the show and tell. Is that your understanding, Corporal? Yes.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry. I thought it was the day of October 21.
I don't believe so.
Okay, thank you.
Do you want me to keep going or you want to break?
No, we'll keep going.
Sorry.
The gun safe in my tiny Honda, I fitted in there, and so I had that with me right next to us, and I kept all the ammunition in my trunk and everything, and Sarah had all of the guns in her trunk, and so we took all those guns out of the trunk, and we put them on the table. We had 2 tables, so we had 2 tables filled with long rifles, short guns, a lot of guns. And then also, once the show and tell was over, Joel was pretty cool. He was happy with everything. After that was over, he stuck around, and then I think the first couple of actors showed up for training and everything, because I remember they said okay, you're gonna have 3 at this time and 3 here and 3 there, and I was like, all right, that's kind of manageable. And it is kind of manageable, and it definitely I've worked with 2 at a time before. 3 is manageable, but also then all of a sudden with the actors, all these producers came, a ton of producers. And so the producers are just kind of behind us the whole time. The guns are out there. We put a lot of them away that we didn't need for the training that day. So Sarah put a lot of those away, and we just kept those in my car because I had the safe, and ultimately I was going to put them in the safe at the end of the day. And then so the actors came, we started training and everything. And then all of a sudden a producer just jumps into the training because I guess he was also firing, but they didn't schedule him for me. So at one point I was training 4 people at one time, which is a little chaotic. Yeah, so I'm there.
Sorry, but when you had them all out on the table, how many people would you say were there, max at a time that were
probably 10.
messing?
10, and not everyone was really allowed to mess with them. A couple producers would ask if they could touch them. Ultimately, I always get pissed at people if they touch them without my permission.
Okay.
Joel, I let do that. Joel
Never touch without permission.
But yeah, other than that, most people were there, and most people would be wouldn't even ask to touch them. Yeah, good 10 producers were there.
Okay.
Yeah, and Gabby and Roe were there at the beginning, and eventually they left with kind of everybody.
Okay.
And then towards the end of, so at the beginning of the day, I was supposed to train 6, and then I had an hour-long break you know, and I think I was there from like 9 to like 2 or 8 and yeah, 9 to 2, just training actors pretty much the entire time, and doing the show and tell. And then so I trained 6 of them then, and then plus that producer that they threw in there randomly. And then after that, an hour went by, and I trained Devin and I trained Miller. And yeah, and the last guy didn't show up.
Okay. Who
Yeah.
was the producer that you trained?
Nathan.
Okay. Do you remember his last name?
No, not really. He was on set a lot. He was like a nice younger one, kind of.
Okay. How long would you say you spent with each group training?
With each actor, probably like 30, 20 minutes or so. Yeah, usually I like to work with the actors one-on-one and get like a full 30 minutes to an hour in, you know, but that's just not how it went on this one.
Who made that call?
Gabrielle.
Okay. Did she give you a time limit?
She just put 3 people together. Like she scheduled it like that, and she said they had other things to do and had other, you know, they had to go and do training with the Wranglers, and a lot of this training was like the day before. Yeah, they're like, ride a horse now, and now you get to shoot a gun, and like, yeah.
You get to shoot a gun off a horse.
Yeah, honestly, it's crazy because a lot of the times they have actors start working with the horses like months in advance because you can grasp the guns a little quicker than like a weird living animal and all that stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah, they didn't have people training on horses well in advance for the theater, which I thought was pretty wild.
Another total off subject, but I was, you know, we got Jensen in here and spoke to him, and I found out that the gentleman who provided the horses for the set, I used to actually be Wrangler's horse.
Oh, really? That's fun. Isn't he so cute?
His horses are terrible.
Yeah, no, the horses are scary. I honestly, I'm trying to get out of
used to be a
Western. Every Western I'm
wrangler.
on, a horse almost killed me.
Yeah.
Shaking not. Like, horses back up crazy. And, like, no one even said, like, not to walk behind the horses on this. I was like, Sarah. I was like, what the fuck are you doing? Like, you know, I was just, like, the complete lack of just, like, yeah.
Yeah, I used to wrangle
Yeah.
for him.
Yeah, I love Riley. He's a sweetheart. But, yeah, the horses are bad. But, honestly, like, it's been a long time since I've been able to work with any really good horses because I have been doing independence. You know, no one can afford, like, the good horses that Magnificent 7 had back when I was there in 15, you know.
Well, he used to do all kinds of, like, trail rides.
Back in
Stuff like that, too,
15
like,
when I was working
he
there.
actually, like, because he goes, when they do trail rides, they go up, you know that mountain that has a cross on it, down at the end of Bonanza? So we used to take the horses up that mountain.
Yeah.
And I just remember one day he put me on a thoroughbred that came off the track, a mare. And, like, she was hot horse.
Yeah.
And so he, like, slightly hooked her up before this trail ride.
Yeah.
And, like,
I remember a couple of the horses.
she was off in her own world, we'll just say that.
Yeah, a couple of the horses got loose on this. One, like, made a full-ass run for it, like, 3 times during one scene.
Why are we
They did
listening to
their
the
best they could
horse
catch, and
shit?
eventually they started
Literally, this is shit about horses. There
Okay,
we
we're
go.
going to break for the evening.
All right,
Remember,
away.
this is what,
go away. All right, that was yesterday. We're gonna start today, and I'm gonna be just straight up honest with you right now. We got 307 people here still. Is that it, or is it just not updated? I'm not sure. There was 307 last time I checked too. Yeah, there's still 307. Weird. I honestly don't know how much longer I'm going to be able to go. I got almost zero sleep. I'm starting to get a little bit groggy here. We'll go as long as we can with these videos. And it's my understanding that they're having a shit ton of audio video troubles. Surprise, the prosecution is botching the audio video again. That seems to be the deal. But I'll do as much as I can, and we might have shut it down a little bit earlier. And just in case we do, we'll start early on Thursday, and we'll do a little bit on Friday morning to catch up, and then we'll do the rest of the makeup on Sunday. So, all right, we got Duncan, Idaho, gifted 1 Legal Vices membership, and HT got that. If you're HT, I assume there was a big thank you. I didn't see it, but I know you would do it because you're an absolute mensch. And Psycho Dolls, who's been a member for 6 months. Thank you so much for your support for 6 months. And Duncan, Idaho, with a $5 super chat. There's only one Magnificent 7 movie, and it was made in 1960 with Yul Brynner, my personal favorite actor. Anything made in 2015 would be a soulless factory-made husk. It was the Simpsons parody of Westworld was better than the 2015 Magnificent 7 remake. Thank you very, very much for that. All right, let's go. Let's bring up today morning. They're on lunch break now. They took an early lunch break because the prosecution, they had audio video problems. So let's bring this up. Where are we? There we are. And embiggen. Let me unmute.
past the bathrooms, and I was like, oh my god,
you.
that's gonna hurt somebody.
I love horses, but
I don't
I
like
like
horses
PJs.
because of westerns. Westerns have made me not like horses. Horses and guns just suck.
Hannah, are you a certified firearms instructor?
I don't know.
Okay. Have you ever taken like any courses or anything to become an instructor?
Okay, I was harsh on her when we watched this video the day before trial started. So last Wednesday or last Thursday, last Wednesday, I think. And I said, you know, when they asked, "Are you a certified armor?" She said, "I don't know." I heard that as I don't know, meaning like, okay, is she that dumb? She doesn't know what her qualifications are. But people in chat pointed out, and I see now you're correct. She said, "Well, I don't know." She that was two different thoughts. So yeah, I stand doubly corrected. I stood corrected that day, and I'm doing it again now.
No. Okay. Yeah, I'm not really sure if that's required for this.
Yeah, and it might not be, but more just, you know, your back.
And I'm sorry, Corporal, I myself couldn't hear what kind of an instructor you were asking her about. Can you summarize that?
Yeah, so I asked her if she was a certified firearms instructor.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, see, I heard it that way too. The first
no,
two
mostly
times
trained
I
with my
watched
dad.
it.
My dad like probably wouldn't send me to go train with someone else exactly, you know. So, yeah, he is kind of the industry.
So as far as the accidental discharges and set, when did they?
Can I just ask?
Okay, so I think when
Are we good on hearing? Okay. Okay. Thank you.
October 17th, those that actually they both occurred within 10 minutes of each other.
So they were on the same day.
They were on the same day, and it was chaotic for that little bit. But anyway, so I go to the bathroom. It's the first time I've been able to step off of set. I think it's like 4 or 2, maybe 3 o'clock.
So go for about 1 hour before
the
the audio visual goes to shit.
And I'm like, what the fuck is that? And then I hear Dave say, "It's okay, everyone, it's just a misfire." And I like go, what the fuck? So I run out of the bathroom with my pants halfway down. I'm running the set, trying to figure out what happened. And I walk up the set and Sarah's like loading the guns. And I'm like, "Hey, like, how's it going?" And she's all like, "Oh, good." I was like, "What happened?" She's like, "Nothing really. Can you load the one in there?" And I say, "Okay, I'll go in there and I'll load that one," because I had been loading that Henry with that stuntman for quite some time now, probably like most of the day. So I go in there and I load it with him. I load that one with him and I tell him, "All right." So I said, "All right, you got about 13 quarter or half loads in there." I can't really remember what it was for that particular scene. That might have been, the actors were outside, so those were probably quarters. So I told him you have about 13 quarter loads in there. He said, "Is there one in the chamber?" And I said, "Yes." And he said, "Okay." And I said, "Okay." So don't touch the trigger. And he was like, "Okay." And I walk out. And then I go up to Sarah and I said, "Hey, what happened?" And she was like, I was like, "I heard there was like a misfire," which is like the wrong terminology for it even. That's an accidental discharge. So I was like, "I heard there was like a misfire or something." And she's like, "Yeah, I was loading it." And she's like, "And it just went off." And I said, because I had to train her how to put them in and make sure that the hammer goes down gently enough. Because I asked her if she knew how to do that from test. And she's like, "Yeah, but let me just do it again a couple of times in front of you." And I saw her do it. And I was like, no. I was like, "Put your thumb all the way over the trigger. I mean, not the trigger, the hammer. Otherwise, you know, if you don't put it all the way over, your hands will be sweaty sometimes and it'll slip." And so she was loading it. And I'm not exactly sure what happened. Like I said, I was in the bathroom. But guns don't just go off like that. And if you're loading it, it's most likely that you made a mistake just loading it and that the hammer came down too quick.
Okay.
And, you know, when you're in a rush, that can happen. It hasn't happened to me, but I can understand it happening. And then as soon as that had happened and I walked outside and I was asking her about that, next thing I know, boom, inside of the fucking thing. And I already told him this gun was hot. I know for a fact I did. And we were doing that scene all day. So this man knows this gun is hot. And then I go in there and I said, "What the fuck are you doing in here?" And he tells me, he's like, "I don't know. It just went off." And I was like, "Well, it's a lever action rifle. And that's not really how that works, bud." You know, so pissed him off a little bit, but I said, "All right, be careful in here." Thankfully, we were doing that scene pretty much all day, so I think a lot of camera had their earplugs in, but
It was inside when it went off then?
it was inside of this, little shack that they were in, and most of the camera crew was in there at the time.
Okay.
Yeah, so that one was inside, and then there was also a popper misfire with special effects.
Okay.
Yeah, and that was the day that we first started shooting and everything. We had pretty good luck with that. Every time, you know, we got done with the scene, I count all the shots, so I know if there's still a hot gun on set. So I was looking for that, and most of the time I would just run to the actor and be like, "Don't touch it, it's hot still."
Okay.
Yeah.
As far as when Sarah's gun went off, is that possible if you like drop the hammer too quickly that it can discharge?
Yeah, totally. And
Without
it was
pulling the trigger?
Yeah, no, that happens.
Okay.
Well, see, that's the thing. So you have to pull the trigger in order to bring that hammer all the way down, you know? So you have your finger on the hammer, and in order to get the hammer to release back to a position where the person could grab it and do the scene, you have to touch the trigger and slowly lower the hammer down. If you touch the trigger, it'll just send the hammer down. So if your finger isn't there to stop it while you're loading it,
it's going to come down and shoot it.
So these, I mean, now I understand why that can. I mean,
That-
everybody has said
so-
that it happens often. This kind of stuff. So I
That totally can happen often, and it's just because ultimately you do have to lower down that hammer again in order to start the scene. You can't like give it to the actor like cocked back and everything, you know. So yeah, and it's the same with a lot of like even my 22, I have to do that as well. You know, like I'll bring it back. There's like a little piece that stays back, and unless I hold that and slowly release it while holding my trigger, that would go off too.
Interesting.
So even my Walther P,
about revolvers.
even my well, and that's just my Walther P22. That's not a revolver. Like that's just a regular like magazine.
In order to load these, does the hammer have to be back?
It has to be half cocked. Yeah.
Interesting.
So yeah, and then you have to bring it back all the way, or like kind of you can bring it back from a half cock, kind of, but it helps to bring it back all the way and just bring it down slowly.
Okay.
All right, guys, I'm gonna have to be real here while we're talking about cocks. I'm struggling. I'm not gonna make it much further. I'm having a miserable time just trying to stay awake here because I didn't get a lot of sleep, and then I had to go watch Dune for 3 hours instead of getting some sleep. So I think I'm gonna pull the plug here and send you to someone who is more alert. And because we should be getting back to court. Court's supposed to start again in 2 hours. But just scrolling through this, we've got about 1 hour before they take their morning break. And then after that, as we can see here, scrolling through from 1:18, they do about 10 minutes, and then it's just nothing. And then there's another 10 minutes, and then literally nothing the rest of the day. So we should be able to catch up pretty quickly with we should be able to dispose of the morning session pretty quickly within, say, an hour. And then we'll catch up on the morning show. And I'll do a little extra tomorrow. We'll start a little bit early. We'll go a little bit later, and then we can do something on Friday, starting on Thursday evening, and then we'll do a makeup because we won't be doing anything on Friday. I'm going to be out of Korea on Friday. I'm going to stop on over to China for for the weekend, basically. So we'll do Friday session on Sunday. I apologize. It's I'm not on my A game here tonight, and I'm fading really, really fast. So my sincerest apologies for this. Let's see. I'm looking around here. I guess we should send you to. How's Law of Self-Defense doing? What's Andrew doing? All right, and Andrew is talking, so I'm going to send you on over to Andrew at Law of Self-Defense. Say hi. Give him a special shout out. Tell him that Legal Vices sent you. You'll probably ignore it, but tell him I sent you anyway. Let me quickly get this set up. YouTube, studio, and if any of you haven't subscribed, please do. I'm 3 subscribers away from 67,200 subscribers. Currently got 67,197. Just 3 more of you get down there and smash that subscribe button, and let's get to 67,200. While I'm doing this, here's the live stream. Make sure you hit the like button. I didn't give you much to like today. I apologize. I'll do better. I'll do better tomorrow. I promise. Let's see. Redirect. There we go. Let's go over to Law of Self-Defense. Where are you? Where's Law of Self-Defense? It's not coming up on my. Oh, there it is. So it wasn't coming up on my redirect screen. Right. Okay, there we go. It is saved. You should be automatically sent over to Andrew at Law of Self-Defense, Andrew Branca. If not, just click at the little blue box up at the top. If that doesn't work, go find it on your own or go somewhere else. Everybody, again, my apologies for keeping this short. We'll do much more tomorrow, I promise. Until then, everybody, take care of each other. Thank you so much, mods, for being here, and thank you so much for the super chats and the gifted memberships that came in. Let's do it again tomorrow. We'll probably start around 8:30 or 9 a.m. Eastern time, and then we'll just go. Because Friday's a holiday, so I can stay up a little bit later, and so we'll be good. Trust me. All right, that's it. I'm out. Take care, every peeps. Love y'all. We'll see you very, very soon. Bye now.